May the 4th be with you. Good morning, evening, or afternoon. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the XP Podcast, episode 49 for the first week of May 2023. I'm one of your hosts, Mike Z, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, my co-pilot, my Padawan, my Jedi trainer, whatever you want to say. It's the Birdman himself, Logan B. What's going on, man?
It's the best time of the year, everybody. As you can see, I'm rocking the Star Wars shirt, rocking my Star Wars Mandalorian headphones, and as you can see behind Mike, more Star Wars because you know what? It's May the 4th, everybody. Welcome. May the Force be with all of you. And, get those Star Wars game sales, by the way, because they're all going on right now. So, yeah, no, I'm excited. This is a very exciting little week we got going on. A lot of Star Wars themed things we're going to be doing today, so very, very, very pumped for that. As always, welcome. And, I guess we should get into this real quick. I've had a pretty good week. It's been pretty chill. Playing some games, still not doing as much as Mike. Seems Mike always has a little bit more things going on than me. But we did play a certain game together this week, which, by the way, I don't know if you checked that out, but we do have a video we just posted today when we're recording. So I guess it'll probably be a couple days or so after this gets posted. But it is our XP plays for Redfall. So, I guess spoiler alert, but go check it out. We played Redfall together. And if you want to see our
What are you spoiler alerting?
What? I don't know. Because I
spoiler
said,
alert that we
'cause I
posted a
guess
video.
We're going to be talking about in our rundown, but
We are.
But yeah. If you want to see our legit first impressions, then go watch that because it is actually we literally started playing the game right then and there. It was sort of live. Technically, it was recorded and posted later, but I know probably some people will be looking at me because, well, it was a little awkward during the video because I couldn't see Mike the entire time. So I'm sorry if it looked a little weird from my point of view because I was just like this the entire time. But you still get to hear our impressions, and yeah, to say the least, they're very mixed. Or probably not very mixed, more like on the negative. But still, another, I guess, spoiler. But go check it out. Go check it out. But other than that, pretty good week. So, Mike, how was your week?
Terrible. I'm dealing with all kinds of insurance and car licensing and plating and annoying adulthood stuff. But yeah, so like Logan said, we did post our first playthrough, XP Plays Redfall. That's up. That's live. You can go check it out if you want right now. Logan's leaving the episode. See you later. How you doing? But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Well, it was fun hanging out with Logan and all that. I don't know if playing the game was fun or not, but the footage is raw. I didn't edit anything. There's no cuts. You see the entire 2 hours that we play, everything that happens, all the issues that I was dealing with on my end, trying to get the game to run. That was the fun part of it. But yeah, you can go over there, check it out. It is up on our YouTube page now. You can go listen to us talk about it. We give a little summary at the end of what we think about it. We've had a couple days now to sit on those impressions, so we'll give them to you in the rundown this week. So look forward to that. I've played a little bit more Star Wars and all that, but we'll get to all that in the rundown. Let's begin the show as we always begin the show with the question of the week. And guys, like I said last week, if you're listening to this, if you have an idea, if you have a question that you want us to answer, please comment down below on this video on our YouTube page. Go over to our Patreon. Let us know what you want us to talk about. We want to engage with you guys more. We want to answer the questions that you guys have for us, and that keeps you guys hopefully engaged a little bit more, and it connects us to our viewers in a more intimate way, which is something that we want to do here on this channel as we're building up our community. We want to all be friends, be engaged. We all love video games. That's why you're here. That's why you're watching this episode and these videos week in and week out. So comment down below. Let us know if you have any questions or anything you think would be a cool topic of discussion. shoot it over to us. Let us know. We will talk about it here in Question of the Week or in our part of the show if it's a good enough question. We'll spotlight it for you, and we'll always give you credit. Speaking of giving credit, what? Speaking of getting credit, I want to give a shout out to my friend from Target who I play a lot of Call of Duty with. Logan's met him. Well, Logan's heard him. But he commented on one of our other videos and wanted me to give him a shout out because he's the one that sold some of the controllers that you've been seeing in my background. He sold me a huge lot of controllers for fairly cheap. So shout out to you, Mr. Andrew. I don't remember what your name is. No, Slaw Bunnies. That's right, Slaw Bunnies. Shout out to Slaw Bunnies on Activision and Call of Duty. Go over there, play with them, check them out. Don't play with them. That's weird. Play video games with him. Check him out. He's a good guy. He's also pretty darn good at Call of Duty, and he makes me look good. So anyway, without further ado, the question of the week is Star Wars related. So Logan came up with this one. So Mr. Birdman, why don't you take this one?
Well, I guess I wasn't really prepared either for this question because it was decently last minute. But I guess we can kind of jump back and forth. So I don't think I'm gonna put this in any specific order because we weren't fully prepared for this. But I think my first one is a pretty easy for
You
me.
want to actually
Star
tell
Killer.
them what the question is before?
Oh, yeah, duh. I don't know. I'm blanking here. Okay. So, Mike, May 4th. What
May the 4th be with
is
you.
what is your top 3 Star Wars characters from the video games?
Okay. There it is. Now people know what the hell we're talking about.
Yes. Sorry, I don't know why I for some reason thought you said the question already.
I did not.
So. Well, do you want me to start?
You
Since
already
I kinda
started.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Star Killer is one of mine. That's an easy one. I think he's easily one of my he's I think I'm trying to aim for specifically video game characters, not ones that are already in the movies. So like for example, Luke Skywalker doesn't really count. I know he's in the video games, but he's not like a mainly video game character. So I want some like good video game characters. Even if it's a robot. Doesn't have to be humans or etc. It could be anything. It has to be something from a Star Wars game.
All right. You want my number one?
Yep.
It's not my number one. These are just in orders. And pretty much what I'm doing, I'm not going to copy anything that you say. So whatever you say, I'm going to say something different. So
Okay.
Star Killer is awesome, but I'm not going to talk about him right now. What I am going to talk about is the GOAT, the best robot in Star Wars. BD1 from Fallen Order.
Yeah. No, I
BD1
agree with you.
is not only is he adorable, which fits the bill for a Star Wars robot. You kind of have to be adorable and lovable, and people people need to like you and get attached to you, but you also need to be useful. And BD1 is super useful in all the games. He opens doors for you, he opens chests for you, he does all the stuff. And in the second game, has a huge amount of customization to him. Customability.
Yeah.
I have made my BD1 the same color as Iron Man. He is a red and gold theme robot on my back at all times, and he's just so cool, man. And I absolutely love him from the moment that you meet him. In this game, he doesn't have a whole lot of in the newer game, he's not a whole lot of further character development between them because they're connected at the hip. They travel together all the time, and they're best buds. Cal can communicate with him. No one else really can. He understands his speech, so he has to relay what BD's talking about to other characters the whole time. He's just great. He's awesome. I love him, and I want a statue of him.
That would be really cool.
I have literally all the other droids. I have the stupid droid from Rise of Skywalker, the green and white one. It's in the living room. I got, BB-8 over here. I got a couple R2-D2 sitting around here somewhere. So I need BD1. I got to figure that out, man. Come on, Mike.
Oh, I should have brought in my built droid I made in Disney World that I have. It's like a BB-8, but it's like all Empire themed.
Yeah.
And it's not like the full black one from the movie, but like it's like red and white and everything. It was so freaking cool. Should have brought it in here, but I'm not gonna run out there and get it. But it's in my room.
What do you got for me?
So this isn't just one person, but they kind of all connected. So this is my second one, and that is Republic Commando. Here's their names because I don't have like actual names, but it's RC-1207, RC-1140, RC-1138, and RC-1262. All four of them, some of my favorite characters of all time. Dude, Republic Commando, dude, is still easily one of my favorite Star Wars games. I think that game is so underrated. It's so damn good. I really wish there was a sequel for it because the way it ended was kind of sequel-ish bait. So I kind of wish there was an actual sequel for it. I wish EA would maybe possibly come out with something with them because it was really awesome in Battlefront 2, the new one, that they brought back the Commando clone troopers, which I think is probably the most badass version of the clone troopers, and Republic Commando is the first one to show them. And yeah, I mean, they all four of them easily some of my favorite characters. I think they're all very memorable. I will never forget them. And if you haven't played Republic Commando, go play it. It's on everything. It's on the Switch. It's on PS4. It's on Xbox. It's on PC. Go check it out. It's really cheap. It's a really fun and also quite difficult game, but it's awesome. Trust me.
Yeah, maybe try to get it on Xbox backwards compatibility because on PC it maxes out at like 800p and it's awful to play. Believe me, I
Oh yeah,
tried.
I bet.
I
Yeah.
tried recently. All right, my second one I want to give a shout out here. This kind of, if you know me, you understand where this is coming from. Logan doesn't know this character because it's Logan. All right, anyway, Darth Revan. If you don't know who this is, he is from Knights of the Old Republic. He's the main antagonist of Knights of the Old Republic, and he is simply the biggest badass of all the Sith. At a time where the Sith were at the height of their power during the Old Republic. Technically, the Jedi were at the height of... Well, technically, the High Republic's the height of the Jedi power. But anyway, he is the coolest dude. A little bit of history on him. You know, he is an ex-Jedi. He fought during the Mandalorian Wars. That was when he was a Jedi. That's when he was. Then he became a Sith Lord. I don't exactly remember the plot, the thing that made him turn. But he is like the ultimate Sith Lord of the Old Republic at a time where the Sith were at their most powerful. And I don't want to spoil anything for anybody out there who's going to play maybe the upcoming remake when it comes out in 2037. But if you haven't played Knights of the Old Republic and you're getting ready to go back, go play, go find out about this character because he is, in my opinion, the best Sith we've ever got. And I'm not really including Darth Vader in that because obviously he's like the best character in Star Wars, like
Exactly
entirely.
right. Yeah.
So it's you're not gonna beat him, but that's a movie. In video games, Darth Revan easily the best Sith, probably the best character we've gotten in any Star Wars game. Full stop. So that's my number 2 shout out that I want to give. Again, these are not in any order, but there's my second shout out because Logan did steal the Republic Commando guys. That was gonna be one of mine, so I had to had to do a little turn here. So there we go, Darth Revan. I can't wait for people to finally experience his story as long as the remake is good and it eventually comes out.
So third one's a little bit difficult because I'm trying to think of some of the other names, but this one's just an easy one. And I know Mike's gonna probably be upset that I take this one, but it's an easy one. As much as I didn't love the first game, I have to give Cal Kestis up there with one of the best, man. Like I may not have loved Fallen Order, but I do think he was really great, and I really did like him as a character. I liked him better than any other character in that game. Um, I just found he just was a really good character in general. I just found him very interesting. I thought his story was awesome. It's cool to see a story of Jedi kind of on the run, after what happened with Order 66, and I just thought he's a really good character. And I've heard nothing but good things about the sequel, where he's a lot more of a badass and he's a lot less, um, I guess, kiss ass. I guess is the best word to go for it. I guess.
I mean, yeah, in the sequel, I'll talk about it in the rundown. But he, like I said last week, he is a Jedi in this one. Like he's a full, confident, fleshed out Jedi, and it's really awesome. But now, since you've stolen 2 of mine, I gotta fucking do a U-turn
I'm
again.
sorry.
You're fine. I'd let you go first. That's what I get. So the oldest, I should always go first. So,
All right.
but so I will make not a 360 because I'm staying with the same game, but it was one of the characters I wanted to give a shout out to, and I'm quickly falling in love with, not in love with her, in like with her. I love what they're doing with her in the second game, and I was immediately interested in her in the first game from the moment she came on screen. I thought she had a cool, interesting backstory, and her kind of playful banter with Cal, and their relationship building that happens and into the second game, and that is Marin, the Night Sister from the Jedi series. And since I have the perspective of the second game, I can talk a little bit more knowledgeably than Logan over here. But what they've done with her in the second game is just purely awesome. Like, I just think it deepens her character, it gives her more motivation. Her relationship with Cal continues to build throughout the game, and you get to see that happen. And then you get other characters talking about it, and there's the way she carries herself. I mean, she's in the presence of a Jedi, and she's fully confident, and she's fully like, no, I'm in charge here sometimes. This is my show. I know what's going on here. Let me tell you what's going on. And obviously, that's a little bit of gameplay there because the developers obviously want you as the player to know what's happening, and they deliver that through Cal to you. But I loved Marin. I loved her in the first game. I loved their little conversations and her whole backstory with the Night Sisters and Dathomir, and all the different things that came around with it. And it's only gotten better so far in the second game. So was gonna be my honorable mention because it really is Cal in this spot for me. This is Cal
Mhm.
Kestis' spot, but we've already talked about Cal Kestis, so he's there. Just believe him that he's there. This one goes to Marin. So there it is. Any other characters you want to give a quick shout out to before we move on?
I don't think so. You
Uh,
know, I was
Lo-
gonna find a funny Lego character, but I couldn't really think of any at the moment. So
Jabba the Hutt. He's in one of the Lego
yeah,
games, isn't he?
yeah.
Yeah, that's a movie character. So like I said at the top of this, guys, if you like these questions of the week, we like doing them. We like coming up with different things to talk about here and there. Some of them are like who would win a fight. Some of these are, our ranks, some of our history with video games. Anyway, whatever it is, whatever you want to hear from us, if you have a good question idea, comment down below. Let us know. We'll pick out the best ones, and we'll just have infinite content from you guys. So we would appreciate that. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, this is the XP Podcast, our weekly video game and pop culture podcast, where Logan and myself sit down with y'all and talk about all the news stories and happenings inside and out of the video game world. We post a new episode each and every Monday at 8 o'clock, so you can listen to it throughout the week or whenever you want. You can find us on most of the popular podcasting services, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. If you enjoy what we're doing here on the XP Podcast, please support us over on our Patreon, where you get to be a part of our weekly discussions and give us your opinions on everything we talk about and everything we don't. You'll also be able to find all of our uploads there, along with any exclusive episodes we may post. Links for that, as always, are in the description down below, or you can simply go to patreon.com and search Experience Point, spelled capital X, capital PERIENCEPOINT. However, if you don't have any money to send our way, don't worry. We still love and appreciate you for listening to us and being a part of us, hopefully a growing community. You can also go over to our YouTube channel. We can get this show and all of our shows in video format. If you do, please give us a like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification icon so you can be aware of everything we post when we decide to post it. New episode reminders for you. Like we said at the top of this, our Redfall Let's Play. Our Redfall Let's Play is up. It is out there. You can go watch Logan and I experience this masterpiece of a video game from the start button and see all the greatness that is involved in it. Also, episode 48 is live. It's out there. You can go listen to it. We talk about our top 5 most anticipated games for the rest of 2023. We also give you our reactions to the Armored Core 6 and Tears of the Kingdom preview. PlayStation also became the #1 producer of home video game consoles in the history of the industry, and so much more. With all that out of the way, though, let's get into this week's show. In our point of the show, we're doing something very, very different. We are actually introducing a new show topic for all of you out there and giving you a sneak peek of what it is and what it could be. The show is called Rank 'em. It's where we rank things, whether that be franchises, top 10s, top 5s, whatever it is. But this week we are doing all the live action Star Wars shows that we've seen, which is pretty much all of them, other than I haven't seen 2. But I will explain that to you when we get there. So stick around. That's going to be our point of the show. That's going to be the main focus of the show celebrating Star Wars and giving you our definitive ranking on all the live action shows and movies. And around the point, Phil Spencer apologizes for Redfall and promises that Starfield will be better. Xbox announces the date and time for their not E3 showcase, and ChatGPT is already making its way into video games through a new Skyrim mod. Then in LTR we dive into the reviews for Redfall, but before we get to all that, it's time for what is and forever will be the rundown, where we catch up on all things pop culture that we've been doing, whether that be gaming, TV shows, movies, books, or comics. It doesn't matter to us because we like it all and love to talk about it. So, Mr. Birdman, what, sir, have you been doing?
Well. Not a lot. Not a lot at all. Monopoly. You know how it is. If you checked out the last 3 episodes, more Monopoly go. Fun. Seems like everybody's coming after me, I guess, this week because I've had my shields broken 3 times this
Not
week
me.
because of people. It's not you. It's
I never
Worthy.
attack
And
you.
also a friend I had from high school. I don't know what the problem is with me, but they got some beef.
Also, when you go into the shutdown, you can see how many times they attack you. Logan attacked Peyton not Logan. Sorry, Worthy attacked Peyton 17 times the other day. I'm like, first of all, how are you landing on so many shutdowns?
I know.
I do not get that many. Second of all, Worthy, if you're listening to this, I love you, man. You're one of my best friends of all time. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Leave us
He
alone.
just loves messing with
I'm
us,
just
man.
trying to
It's
get levels. I'm just trying to get dice. Can you just leave me the fuck alone,
great. Yeah.
please? I've
So
had a bunch of good days in Monopoly, by the way. I don't know if you've been paying attention to my
really,
score.
dude, I've been trying. Dude,
I
you've
am
skyrocketed.
I am
One day, for like a solid hour, I was ahead of you, and it was the most beautiful moment. I don't know how it happened, and then you just skyrocketed. I'm like, well, there's no catching you at this point.
I am 3
So
shy of 1,000 right now.
yeah, pains that she was mad. So
Peyton said she was
other than
mad.
that,
What the hell?
yeah, she said
I've been I've been trading her cards and everything. I'm gonna stop that shit. Fucking
but
snake. She doesn't
other
listen to
than
these
that,
episodes, so it doesn't matter.
um we also played Redfall, which we'll be getting into, I'm sure. Well, I guess we can talk about it now.
Yeah, let's talk
Do you
about it
want
right
to?
now.
Yeah.
I
So
only got 2 other things. Modern Warfare. We played a little bit more of. It's Modern Warfare. I still like it. Apparently, everybody hates it out there. I've been watching a lot of people, a lot of the YouTubers out there. They absolutely hate uh, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 right now. So sorry, I guess I like it. It's
I don't
fun.
know. I think it is fun. I don't know, but it's not the normal Call of Duty that these YouTubers like. So it's too new. It's too
Got it.
different. So, yeah, bless you, by the way.
Thank you. But yes,
But
Redfall.
yeah. So Redfall. Spoiler alert. Not great. Not great.
Not good at
Not
all.
even good. Definitely very, even probably below average. And most times. Yeah, it was very interesting. Again, go check it out because firsthand you'll see why it was just so mediocre. It's well, for the first thing, you could do the most basic thing in any of these games. Like, it doesn't take a genius writer to write out like an intro to a video game. But when an intro to a video game, in most games, even the worst games out there, games that I don't really like at all, they always have a really good intro to the game. This game doesn't even have that. Like, straight up, you're on this boat. You're for some reason specifically chosen. You don't know why. Just know that you're special for some reason. And then basically it just shows that the vampires stop people from escaping. And then from there you go to this firehouse, and then what you get when you get to that firehouse is the biggest joke of an intro to these characters.
I don't
You
even
straight
say
up
anything.
let these people out. They don't say a single thing to you. It's just them flickering around like you all know these people, like your best friends and everything. And it's really funny too, because as soon as that cutscene ends, they all act like you guys have been best friends for years. I'm like, who are these people? Like, who are they? From what I'm hearing, the characters, at least my character, he's not even from that city. He's just a dude that he's a cryptid hunter or whatever. So it's like, Why? Why are they all buddy buddy? Why? And then even worse. The first few missions in this game, they're straight up fetch quests, and they're not even like you are literally in a vampire-ridden small town, and yet they're like, "Hey, our popcorn machine is broken. Go find a tool to fix it." Yeah,
Credit.
that's a main thing.
Credit. That is no. That one's a side quest. The
Oh,
main
that was a
quest
side
is
quest. The
go
main one
put
was
go
the
put my
watch.
watch on my wife's graveyard. That's a side quest. I
That
want to
was an
point out.
intro. That was like one of the first few missions in the game.
That should be a side quest in most open world games. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna have your fillers, you're gonna have your things that you gotta do here and there. But no, that is a main mission, a
Mm-hmm.
main story mission that sets up a relationship with I'm gonna put character in air quotes, sets up a character of the story.
Or
Uh
or or we were forgetting the most exciting mission. Go find a shotgun in a trunk.
oh yeah, I left it there for you, but I made it to this fire station, but I left the shotgun back in the trunk of a car.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go. And by the way, there's literally vampires ridding this small town. But here we are, doing this as a main quest. I really got so much plot from those missions. I learned a lot about these vampires and why they exist. I mean, we played for 3.5 hours, three hours and 40 minutes or
Just
whatever this
just
game.
shy just shy of 4 hours is what my time
Yeah,
clock is
and
at. So
I have no clue what's happening. I just know we are walking around this town. We are picking up everything we see, and it gives you a lot of money. And we kill vampires, and that's it. That's all I got. And I'm like, what? Like, I mean, it's not even a basic plot. Like, it doesn't even have a plot. It's just like you're just for some reason you're special. You have these powers, and go kill vampires. That's it.
yeah,
I
I
don't.
mean,
I just. It's weird because it's like again, people that don't know this already, the people that made this game are the same people that made Prey. So go play Prey and then go play this, and then tell me what went wrong
I mean,
because it is so just not good. Just,
yeah.
I don't know much to say about it. It's disappointing.
I always try to be positive. May
Hmm.
not always sound like it, but I do try to be positive on a lot of the stuff out there because I understand, not from like an actual like hands-on experience, but I understand making video games cannot be easy. It has to be one of the hardest things you can set out to do in today's day and age, making a full-fledged video game. So I always try to be fair, be positive, and give the benefit of the doubt to the developers. I can't find a lot of benefits of the doubts with this one. I just I think there are I've softened on some of my criticisms over the past couple of days as I was sitting with it, as I was thinking of it. I don't think the world is poorly designed. It's just empty. I think there are cool ideas in there, like the whole visually, the wave that's blocking you into the town. It looks really cool. Logan
Hmm.
commented on it where we were playing it.
Yeah.
But as I thought about it, hello dog. As I thought about it, not once did they ever tell you that's what it actually is. I just happen to know that from watching things on it. They never
Hmm.
explain or tell you what that wave is or why it's there's a big ass wave. Was this town Atlantis? Was this town in the
I
middle of
know.
the ocean and then the vampires came and they're holding the water back? Because if that's the case, then I think the vampires should stay. Well, I'm not
And
drowning.
again, the only plot we got was at the very beginning when we hit the start button, where it just has this girl, which by the way we have no idea what her name is, and she supposedly has blood that was supposed to help save a lot of people, I guess. And but then basically these doctors were actually just evil, and they took a lot more than just blood. And then boom, vampires. And then boom, you're on a ship trying to escape, but then the water stopped and they can block the sun, and then that's it. And then supposedly there's a cult, but we don't even know what the cult's about. We don't even know what they're trying to stop. What is their purpose? We don't know. They're
I
just
mean,
bad guys
to be
that
fair,
we shoot.
we're only 4 hours into a 15-hour game, so I guess some of the questions we have may have been answered. And the story
That's like
wise, that's not even my biggest criticism with this game. Not even the performance is the biggest criticism that I have with this game. I mean, obviously the game doesn't run well, it doesn't perform well. There's all kinds of videos out there
it
you can
really doesn't perform well, by the way,
you
because my game got worse and worse the more we played. I started at 140 FPS. I got all the way down to 50. Especially in that movie theater. I don't know what that movie theater was doing, but that movie theater was destroying everything. It was bad.
I mean, it's just optimized poorly. You know, we talked about it in the video. It's not even using
Mhm.
half of the power of our GPUs. Logan has a
It's
six
because
hundred
it's not
dollar.
using all of our CPU. That's the problem. I
Yeah,
actually learned that it's something with it's not using all the threads, and it's only using like 2 of them. So it literally will not use your full potential of your CPU, no
that's
matter
good.
what.
Yeah, Logan has a
So,
$600 GPU that's
hmm
probably putting about $150 worth of use right now.
yep.
My computer matches the recommended specs. I looked it up just to double check, and I'm getting, you know, a very, very choppy 50 or so frames a second. And what I mean by that, choppy, you can go watch the video. I pause like 5 times within those 2 hours for like a good 30 seconds each time. Just freezes for no apparent reason. But anyway, all
Yeah,
that
it's
aside, that's not even my biggest criticism with it. If the game performed perfectly, if it performed, locked 60 on console, PC, it ran very, very well. It's optimized very well. I still would not like this game. I think it is just from the ground up a poorly executed, poorly designed, poorly thought out video game. Like you said, with no story, no characters, no real depth of the world, no real appreciation for what is happening in the world. It's boring, it's empty. The quest design, like we've talked about, is honestly, I like to be positive. The quest design is garbage. The quest design is
hmm
straight up garbage. It is the worst Assassin's Creed filler mission as a main story quest mission. And that's the biggest criticism I can give on it. And I don't know what happened or what went wrong. Again, this game was delayed an entire year. I can't even fathom what this was like a year ago. I can't even
hmm
fathom. And
well, it's
I don't know what happened. I can't explain what happened. Like Logan said, these are the guys that made Prey. While I didn't love Prey, it is a intricately designed video game. Prey is. It's all its systems work unanimously together to create a greater whole. And this game, honestly, cut and dry, full stop. This game kind of sucks. And
hmm
honestly, I don't like saying that. I may be, you know, people may talk about me as the Xbox hater. I don't. I do like Xbox. I just don't think they have it right now. And I don't put all the blame on Xbox for this. Clearly, they can
which
make.
I gotta say real quick. That's one thing that's really annoying about this. Like, I get it. It is now an Xbox exclusive, so I can understand that some of the blame could be on Xbox because they weren't quality checking this game before release. But there's also the other hand. Arcane shouldn't have come out with such a poorly optimized, lackluster game, which is not even about optimization. You're totally right. It's also the fact that the game itself, even if it ran at a solid 60, it ran flawlessly and everything. There's not enough meat to all that. There's so much more bone than meat in this game. And honestly, the more I played it, the more it reminded me of a indie game that would come out on Steam, that would come out in early access and promises to add more content later. That's what it feels like when I play this game. It feels like one of those games. It feels like they have an idea and they're like, hey guys, you're only backing an early access game. Later on, we're going to add more stuff. I would be more understanding if it was an indie game and they're doing this and they're adding more in the game. Maybe they're going to update the story and make it better. And maybe this is just a placeholder for now. That's fine, but that's an indie game, a game that doesn't have the budget that Arcane does. It's like it's a whole different thing. And I just think Arcane, you just flopped with this. Like, even if you didn't have a huge budget, then focus your assets and make sure you make a good game first and foremost. Not put all your assets into making, I don't know what you did. Because honestly, it just didn't seem like you did a lot to this game. It seemed like you tried to make this game in like a year or two. That's what it feels like. It feels like you made the entire city, which by the way, I do think the town is It's not bad looking. I think it is pretty well designed in some ways. I do think there are some interesting parts to it, especially the waves and some of the movie theater environments, and some of the other environments kind of have like a semi spooky vibe to it. It's not a scary game at all. It definitely tries to be, but it's definitely not a scary game. But like sometimes it's like, okay, that's cool. Is it like next gen, or I guess now we're going to call it current gen? No, it's definitely like a last gen looking game. But see, that's why it makes it even worse, because it's just like the game just doesn't have a lot going for it. Like, it sucks because honestly, I think it is a cool idea. I do think this small town and this mystery vibe and these cool characters that kind of give me Borderland vibes. Actually, the more I think about it, they pretty much are like Borderlands characters from like the first game. We have a sniper, we have a siren, pretty much Borderlands characters. Um, Honestly, they could have made something like that. They have it. It's pretty much is like Borderlands meets Far Cry. That's kind of the vibe they were going for with this. And it just doesn't do any of those right. It doesn't even make the gear exciting to find. It doesn't make none of the combat feels good. That's mainly because the AI is brain dead, and I mean brain dead. This isn't like this is the worst AI other than what was the other game you said? There was another game that you said that had really bad AI. I forgot what it was.
Oh, Aliens Colonial
Oh
Marines.
yeah, Aliens, Colonial Marines. That's how bad this AI is in this game, by the way. But even worse, actually worse, in my opinion, because you can literally just walk up to the enemies and they won't even notice you sometimes. And I mean that literally. Literally, you can walk up to the enemies and they won't even notice you sometimes. Sometimes the AI will just completely break and just stand still, like a vampire. We could just stand there and the vampire would just sometimes forget and just
Yeah,
stand
that
there floating.
that fight we
That's it.
had with the shielded vampire that was just in the bathroom, and
Yeah, barely.
we just stood outside the bathroom and shot it every time the shields went around in a circle. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, what a fight! What
Yeah,
an
this is the
engaging
most
fight!
intriguing fight. And it sucks because again, I think this game has unbelievably it wasn't never going to be the newest of the new, the current of the current. I never expected that, but I do think this game had a lot of potential. It honestly had potential to be one of my favorite arcade games because I thought the idea behind it was really cool. Uh and the more and more it got closer, the more interested I did get into this game because like I never expected it to be a Starfield. I never expected it to blow me away or be something that's going to change everything in a sense. It's not going to be the thing that changes gaming, but I thought it was gonna be a game that me and Mike can get on. It has a decent plot with an interesting vibe, and just fun stuff. But no, it's. I mean, I didn't really have super high expectations. Again, I mean that, but it just ended up being not even close to even my low expectations, even worse. So
Yeah,
it even disappoints me even more because it's even lower than my expectations.
I would say a good elevator pitch for what this game could have been is a Left 4 Dead set in a Far Cry world.
Yeah,
You
pretty
know
much.
that's a good elevator pitch, and like Logan's been saying it, I've been saying it. I personally think, excuse me, they have failed on almost every single level except idea based. I
Hmm.
think they have failed on everything they tried to do with this game. To me, this isn't my idea. I heard this today when I was watching some videos. This is Arcane's Anthem.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and to break that down, Bioware made Anthem. Anthem made. Wait, what am I talking about? Sorry, I got lost in my own thought. BioWare is at the top of their game, pretty much, or was at the top of their game at that time for their respective.
Kind
Um,
of. They made Andromeda.
well, okay, at one point in time, BioWare was at the top of a game
Yeah, they
for,
were.
yeah,
Were, yeah,
for
yeah.
decision based, player choice driven, Western style RPG games. There was
Hmm.
almost no one who did it better than them. Go through the list. You got the Mass Effect trilogy, Jade Empire, Dragon Age. They were the best out there. Baldur's
I
Gate, if you want
mean,
to go back that
also,
far.
Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah, Knights of the Old
They were there.
Republic. Yeah,
Yeah, I
they
mean,
are the top. They were the top dog for player choice, narrative driven RPGs. And then they decided to do something different. They wanted to go into the live service looter shooter third person game, and they failed. They didn't know how to do it well. It wasn't produced well. Obviously, there's some stories about what actually happened there. Most of the stories don't even really point to EA. They point straight at BioWare. They just didn't know what they were doing. And same thing with Arcane, both Austin and I forgot where the other one was, but the main studio. They are the top dog for the first person immersive sim genre. There's no one else that does it better right now. Now they are not the proprietors of that. That goes to Deus Ex and those developers, but they were the best at it at the time. So Arcane Austin
France,
is in France.
Leon,
Leon,
Leon.
yeah, Arcane Leon. Thank you, yeah.
Yeah.
They were the best at it. There was no one else that did the immersive sim better. And Arcane Austin decided they want to make something different. They want to make a open world looter shooter. That word keeps coming up day in and day out sometimes, and they just failed. Straight up, completely euphorically failed at making a good playable video game. And that's all I have to say on that, honestly.
Honestly, this game could have been so good, and yeah, it's just so weird because it's like I know me and you may not have absolutely loved a lot of arcane games, probably even any of them. We never really got into any of them, but I will
No, I've
always
never been a huge
understand.
Arcane guy, but
Yeah,
yeah, like, yeah, they are the best. Like, I
yeah,
understand
they
that,
are
but
really good at what they do. I feel like Dishonored was insanely good for what people like that. It wasn't my type of game. Prey was insanely good. It blew everyone out of the water. I know, especially Deathloop, for some people, it blew them away. Not everyone agreed with it being a 10 out of 10 or anything. But again, you got to agree it was a good game. It was a fun looking game, and that's what it was. It was just such a
but this
slap in the face and also a
this
surprise to see Redfall be as bad as it is because it's like so weird because it's like again a lot of good ideas, insanely good ideas, and it just seems like a lot of poor management, and it's just so weird because none of their games have had this problem. And it's like it didn't even have like the red flags I would have for most modern games where it didn't really say it was live service or anything. It
no,
just
it's
said that it
not.
was just going to be a four-player co-op thing. So that wasn't a red flag. So I was like, okay, it has a possibility to be kind of like Borderlands. Like I think Borderlands, in my opinion, is still one of my favorite looter shooter games out there. I think they're the best at making them. I guess you could say Destiny 2, but I never really got into Destiny because Destiny 1 was kind of garbage. Sorry, people, but it kind of was. Um, but yeah, so I mean, they could have done it. I feel like they really had everything on their side, and then just I don't know.
And
It's just so weird.
to put credence to our criticisms here, we talk about how the arcane games haven't really been our cup of tea. Uh, well, this is a genre that you and I both like. We've played quite a few games. Borderlands, I love
Hmm.
Borderlands. Um, I was gonna say I like Destiny, but I didn't actually like the first Destiny. I like the idea of it, and I understand now it's really good. I've always wanted to get into it, but it seems so daunting right now. I'll wait till whatever comes next. But I liked Marvel's Avengers. I like some of these looting based games where you're just making character builds, and Diablo is another one up there where it's a loot based game. We like this style of game, and so that puts some credence, at least for myself, to our criticisms of this was their chance to really capture us, me and you. And I think they
Hmm.
failed euphorically with it. All right.
And it just seems so
Sorry.
weird too, because if you go watch the trailer, by the way, for this game, it just seems so different than what we got now. I feel like the characters are different. I feel like the whole vibe is different.
Yeah, they were
It's just
characters. They had
yeah,
personality.
that's
That
what I mean.
first
Yeah, like the
trailer.
trailer had so much personality behind it. I wasn't sold on it back then, but then the more I seen it, I was like, oh, that seems kind of cool. Because I know you were a lot more sold on it when we first watched it. If you go back to that way back, I don't know what episode it is,
A
but it
long
was
time
back
ago.
when they showcased this game for the first time. It was way back towards like the beginning. And I just remember you being a lot more excited for it, and I was a downer on it. But then I changed my opinion on it the more it got closer. And then I ended up just being pretty disappointed by the end. So yeah, it sucks. Especially because I feel like I think a lot of people are also skipping on the fact that there has been a good game this year made by Bethesda, which is Hi-Fi Rush. I do think Hi-Fi Rush is a very uh underhyped game. I think that game is still in a very damn good game. I don't think I'll ever forget about it this year. I think that game is easily one of my favorite games I played this year. If you haven't played it, by the way, go play it. Hi-Fi
Yeah.
Rush is so damn good, and I
I think
mean it. It
I
is
think
so freaking good.
I think people are just thirsty for that
They
true
just want like a
triple
bigger
A,
game.
a true
Yeah,
triple A
yeah.
Xbox game that they can put hand in foot with, the Tears of the Kingdom, or,
Hmm.
the God of Wars. They want something from Xbox to sit up there and compete with them. I do too. I want Xbox to
Yeah.
come in swinging and put some pressure on Sony, because right now it feels like Sony's just kind of cruising to another win. Like, they don't have to do that much. They haven't. They haven't really put out anything in the past year other than God of War, and they're just
Hmm.
cruising to another victory. And eventually, they're going to get complacent, and they're gonna make a PS3 mistake again, and I'm not excited for that to happen. I need Xbox to keep pushing Sony, because it's the company I truly love. I love their style of games. I need them to keep innovating, and they're not going to if they don't have to, which is the
Yeah.
one thing I'm scared about right now. So, Xbox, please do better. And now all the
Starfield
blames,
will be the game they have to nail. They have to nail
and
it.
I
It
think they
needs
will.
to be nailed. Whether it be 30 FPS or not on console, you have to nail it. Even if it's 30 FPS, as long as you make it. I mean, I'm not going to be playing it on Xbox if it's 30, but still, for the people out there, at least if it's playable and enjoyable, I mean, they have a lot weighing on them with that game. That game has to be a
Even more
banger. It has
now.
to be the game of this year. It has to be it. Well, for Xbox specifically, there's a lot of games for this year. But if you're ready to move on, I'm gonna throw my last little game in there
Yeah.
real quick. Not much more to say, but I have played more Breath of the Wild. Again, I'm trying to beat the game before the sequel comes out, which comes out next Friday. Which luckily I will be at my parents' house most of this week, so I'll probably be playing a lot of that. Probably a lot of it tomorrow and all that during this weekend. So I'm pretty dang close. I'm on the third Divine Beast right now. I'm literally about to start the whole big thing to take it down. Um, so as soon as I get done, I'll have one more Divine Beast, which I need to figure out where that is because I don't exactly know where the fourth one is. I've explored the entire map, and for some reason, I didn't find where the fourth one is. So I'll have to kind of look around. But yeah, so I'm about to do the third Divine Beast, and then hopefully I'll do the fourth one, and then beat it before Friday, which I'm gonna try to do. But a more exciting thing is if you watched that episode where we talked about Tears of the Kingdom, you seen I had a little Switch behind me. That was because I decided to pick up an OLED Switch, which I just wanted to throw in a little what I've been experiencing with it the past week or so. Um, Wow. I mean, obviously, here's the gist of it. If you already know, you know. Um, what is a Switch OLED? It's basically just a bigger screen that, well, is a really, really nice screen, by the way. It's way better and way more, it's far superior compared to the normal Switch when it comes to its screen and its screen size. I think the speakers are pretty much on par with what the Switch already was, but it still sounds good. And it comes with a far, far better stand on the back of it. And also the dock is really nice too. It seems like they redesigned it. It comes with the Ethernet port already on there. I don't really play a lot of Switch games online, so it doesn't really change anything for me. But I will say I've been really liking it. I've been going back and playing some other Switch games on there, and I gotta say, you guys did a damn good job with that OLED screen. It looks so good, especially playing Breath of the Wild on it is like so freaking beautiful. It's awesome. But if you want to ask, is it worth it? It's up to you. It's really up to do you play the Switch handheld? Because if you don't play it handheld, that's especially a reason you probably shouldn't get it. Like Mike here, he doesn't play Switch handheld like almost ever. Probably never. Who knows? But he more plays it docked. So yeah, if you don't like to play your Switch handheld, then it's not worth it. But if you do like playing a handheld like me, I like to play it handheld and docked. I think it's a really nice upgrade. I think it's really cool. If you don't own a Switch already, go get a Switch OLED. It's worth it, in my opinion. It's awesome. Especially makes the fact that Nintendo Switch, I feel like Nintendo is really known for making very colorful games. So playing it on a Switch OLED is pretty fucking awesome. So I just want to throw in that little update. It's not like a huge review because it's like again the OLED isn't hugely different unless you count the OLED part of it, which I do think is a pretty nice upgrade. But again, yeah, just want to throw in that little review. I feel like I had it back there. I didn't really talk about it. I feel like I wanted to talk about it just a little bit. Doesn't need to be super deep. But yeah, if you don't have a Switch, get a Switch OLED. It's worth it. If you don't plan on playing it a handheld, just get the normal Switch or well, I guess don't get the Switch Lite because that's only handheld. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I did not buy the OLED for that exact reason. So, all right, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, still chugging through it, closing in on the 30-hour mark, really making a dent in it. It's a lot bigger, a lot longer than the first one. I'm not gonna talk too much, or really even at all, because we do plan on recording a review. It'll be mostly my review, and Logan will have some questions and some things and just be along for the ride. So look forward to that. But I will say so far, it is absolutely fantastic. Great to amazing, whatever superlative you want to throw at it. The game as the game, the gameplay, the story, the characters, the world, it's all great. There was a patch that came out early this week. It fixed it, but not perfect yet. It still kind of chugs, and there's a lot of reasons for that out there. You can go watch all sorts of videos out that. Pretty much it boils down to their decision to have ray tracing um, enabled no matter what you play on, whether that be performance or quality. So don't love that decision, but I guess they felt like they needed to give their vision or to present the game in the vision that they wanted to. So decisions on them, whatever, I guess. But yeah, we'll talk about that in the review a little more detailed, all the problems and some of the performance issues here and there. Not honestly, in perspective, not as bad as what we played the other night. Not even close. So
No, nowhere close. I'm sure it's way better than what we did the other night.
yeah.
So
So, but yeah, it's if you want to hear my opinion on someone who loved the first game, this game is absolutely fantastic. Go play it. Go buy it. It's another banger of a Star Wars game. So, but that's all I'm going to say on that. I want to save a lot of my deep criticisms and thought processes on it for the review. So that was the rundown. We actually made it semi-short this week. We usually run for about an hour on the rundown, so a little short this week. We're gonna take a pause in the video. You guys won't have a pause, but we will have a pause. And when we come back, you're gonna get the debut of our brand new show idea, Rank 'em, where we are going to rank all of the live-action Star Wars shows. So stay tuned. Don't click off. It's coming right to you. We'll be right back, guys. Let's rank 'em!
Rake
Rank
'em!
'em, rank 'em, rank
Rake 'em, rake 'em, rake 'em, rake
'em,
'em,
rank
rake 'em.
'em. All right. We'll get music for that
Welcome.
eventually. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to Rank
Yeah.
'em, our new show idea. Check out the logo. It's awesome. Thank that man up there. He works his booty off. Not really. He took him forever to do it, but
Yeah.
he does it eventually. So, guys, welcome to Rank
Yes.
'em, our new show idea. It's something we've been talking about doing for a long, long time. Always wanted to do an episode. We figured, why not do one of our favorite franchises of all time, Star Wars, especially the movies. We are going to sit down and rank all the live action movies from our least favorite all the way up to our number one. Probably disagree, probably get some laughs. Talk about why we put them where we put them, and that's going to be the way the show goes. Obviously, you guys have seen top 10 videos out there. I love them. Logan loves them. So we want to do our own little spin on them here and there. And why not start with probably our favorite franchise of all time. So here it is. There are 15 live action Star Wars shows and TVs. That's the same thing. Shows and movies. We are going to rank them all the way from 15 all the way up to 1. I'm going to exclude 2 of them because I have not seen them yet. So those 2 are Boba Fett and Andor. So those 2 will not be on my list. Logan has seen all of them. So I guess if you only want to listen to his ranking, tough shit. You gotta listen to me too. So, starting at the bottom, you want to go first? You want me to go first?
You go first.
Okay, I will start with my least favorite show, number 13, coming in dead last. Probably a surprise to very few people who listen to me out there. It is The Rise of Skywalker, episode 9, Rise of Skywalker, to be specific. I absolutely hate this movie. It's partly the reason I think I haven't watched some of the other stuff that's come out, because this kind of destroyed my fandom of Star Wars for at least a little while. I haven't really gotten over this what I can only describe as an absolute fucking catastrophe of a movie. It fails to be a sequel. It fails to be a coherent, well-told movie. Yeah, it looks good. It looks really good, but it fails to have good character development. It makes the stupidest decisions with bringing characters back. Oh, by the way, full spoilers for all these movies because I'm not holding anything back. It brings the stupidest character back of all time. Why is the Emperor here? Makes no sense. It's awful. Everything about this movie, I think, sucks. From a core concept level, I think this movie is a train wreck in everything that it has to offer. Like I said, it doesn't make sense. It's a sequel to The Last Jedi, which I'm going to talk about Last Jedi very shortly, but it fails to be a sequel to that movie. It fails to be a culmination of the series as a whole, and it's just plain terrible. And Rey sucks. and it made the wrong decision with the end of the movie. It's the Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, I know, right?
Why is there not a Skywalker at the end of it? You had a Skywalker. You had him. And you even gave him the full circle story. You brought him back to the good side. And then you killed him. And he kisses.
And
Rey.
in the dumbest way, too, by the way.
It's like you had what you needed there. Rey should have been the analog to get Kylo back to the good side. And she was. And he could have been the Rise of Skywalker again. He's the grandson of Darth Vader. He's the uncle. No, he's the nephew of Luke Skywalker.
I know, right?
You had it, Disney. You fucking had it. But you had to put your Mary Sue up there.
And it would have been a really cool twist, too, because instead of just pulling what?
I wanted it, dude. I was fucking sitting in the theater begging. You can ask Peyton next time you talk to her. I wish I would have responded my reaction when Kylo died. I was done. I was completely done and over it. I was like, I don't want to be here no more. This is the stupidest shit ever. And then she's got a Rey Skywalker.
It just doesn't.
I hate this movie, dude.
Again, it would have been. The twist would have been so much more exciting because the classics it's pretty much the same thing as the classics, where literally it was about Luke the entire time, and it ended up with Luke becoming, a Jedi Knight and all that stuff. But then you have Rey, where they just basically did the same thing, where it would have been a lot more exciting and different if Kylo would have ended up being the man that survives at the end, the one that is the Rise of Skywalker. It would have been way different. It would have been a lot more exciting. I do agree with you on that. But I can't agree with you thinking it's the worst movie of the Star Wars franchise, because we're going back and forth, right? It's me now?
Yeah, go ahead out there.
Okay. So, if you've listened to this podcast, you also will know what my least favorite one is, and this is a very easy one for me. Even though with all those problems with Rise of Skywalker, I can give it the benefit of the doubt compared to a certain other one that I think completely ruined the entire sequel trilogy, and honestly is what made Rise of Skywalker what it is. And that is a certain movie called The Last Jedi. The worst Star Wars movie of all time. Period. The worst one.
In your opinion.
It is god-awful. It ruined the entire sequel trilogy completely by not only butchering fan-favorite characters and making the dumbest plot lines that make no sense, like killing his sister's trying to kill his sister's kid, or his what is it? His nephew? Yeah, his nephew, because he had one dark thought. But his father killed children, blew up an entire planet, did all these things. He's like, oh, I could change him.
He blew up his mother's
nephew,
planet.
Yeah. So his nephew has one dark thought, and he's like, I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill him asleep. Like, what? And he literally, it just makes no sense whatsoever. And I will agree with one other thing with both the movies I have a problem with. The fact that I already forgot them. The Knights of
Ren were a total non-starter.
Yeah, dude, I hate that so much. They look so cool, and then they get the dumbest thing for both those movies. But still, because that's a whole different topic. This The Last Jedi altogether was a boring slog of a movie that I, as a Star Wars fan, tried to like. Every fiber in my being. I watched it the first time, I'm like, okay, Maybe I missed something. I watched it a second time. There's nothing to like about it. Nothing. There's no good part of the movie. Okay, there's one cool scene in the entire movie, and that is the throne room fight. Coolest part of the entire movie. The only part of the movie I actually enjoyed, because the intro is garbage. The entire movie is just one big chase scene. The fact that they go off to do this mission to go save their friends, but then they go on this dumb side mission that has nothing to do with anything with the plot other than the stupid new girl called Rose, which I hate. She's worse than Jar Jar Binks in my opinion. In some ways,
What is
she's
that planet
about
called?
equal,
I
but
can't even. Kanto.
yeah, yeah,
Kanto.
whatever it was. It was stupid. It was garbage. It was a dumb plot line. And then they were there to go find the smuggler, but then they found the wrong person. They're like, oh yeah, screw it, you'll be the person. And then they go and get captured, and then it's just dumb thing. And then also just Luke, oh, dude, the Bruin's such a fan favorite character. Oh, he gets a lightsaber, throws it off the cliff. First thing you see in the movie is
It's
that,
his
and that
lightsaber.
instantly, I know.
It's his. Well, technically it's Obi-Wan's lightsaber, but it's
Yeah,
his
yeah.
lightsaber. So
Yeah,
yeah,
so that's what we get. I mean, that was already a really shitty first impression for the movie, and just the entire movie's like that. The entire movie is just one big shit fest on what is Star Wars. And honestly, it was honestly just a huge surprise because, we'll be getting into it down the line, but Force Awakens was just so good. And then you get this, and it's just like it hurts.
yeah.
So,
Well, I'll just say my number 12 because I haven't seen two of them, but technically the 14th. It is The Last Jedi for every single reason that Logan just said. Obviously, sorry. Honestly, I think The Rise of Skywalker is a little bit worse for mainly two reasons. One, I don't think it functions very well um as a sequel to what The Last Jedi was, which isn't good. Obviously, they're my least favorite two movies, but was one or two things about The Last Jedi that I can like. I do like the intro, as Logan doesn't really love it. I do like the whole intro space battle. I think it's exciting, especially if you're coming at it from fresh eyes. If you don't know what the rest of the movie is, seeing it for the first time, it was exciting to me at least. And I can come up with a save for The Last Jedi. When I think about writing and all that, I think I can save The Last Jedi if I was given creative control over it. Don't know why Disney would do that, but if they did, I could save The Last Jedi. I can't save The
dude,
Rise
I
of
think
Skywalker.
anybody could have saved The Last Jedi. Anyone could have.
And
Anyone.
and that is the
Could have been a
main
little
reason
kid off the street, probably did a better job than him.
and that is the main reason why I put The Last Jedi a little bit before it. And we do get a couple interesting scenes that I don't hate. I don't hate um the whole Luke Force Ghost thing. I've come to appreciate that a little bit. Not what happens of it. Luke's death at the end of the movie is fucking stupid as hell. But I do appreciate his show of his Force abilities and doing something that is almost thought to be impossible, like projecting a physical an almost physical being across the universe and galaxy. That is a very powerful thing, and I like that it shows that power of Luke. Obviously, wish we would have gotten a lot more of how good of a Jedi Luke has become in his exile. But I mean, that's really the only good two things I can think of. I don't mind the opening scene, and I think the whole Luke showing his power is fine. What happens because of it is dumb. The rest of the movie is dumb. The fucking titty milk is dumb. Uh, Luke throwing his lightsaber is just a spit in the face of every single fan that's there to see the movie. I get you want to be surprising and you want to, you know, do something that audiences aren't expecting. Well, audiences are expecting you to respect the entire history of the franchise. So I guess you're spitting in that face. The fucking Force kid, the Jedi kid, Star kid, whatever you want to call him at the end, that never came to be because Rian Johnson destroyed Star Wars and Disney's smartly not going to let him make his stupid trilogy about a Jedi kid with a broom that he wanted to make. These movies are both terrible. I'm not going to sit here
Yeah.
and argue with you that one of them is better than the other one. I have my certain reasons why, and those are perfectly fine to me. But both of these movies are straight toilet garbage. They are awful. They're fucking terrible, destroyed pretty much Star Wars. For there's a reason we haven't gotten another Star Wars movie since these movies came out, because they had to rethink the entire thought process of what a Star Wars movie is and what it can be. And I think it's sad. And like you said, we'll get to it. Honestly, for me, in a while, they had the perfect setup for what this could be. And there's so many things within the sequel trilogy that could have worked. Finn should have been the hero. Perfect new interesting storyline. Stormtrooper turned Jedi. Kylo should have been the one that saved. Rey should have been Finn's sidekick, who is the person who brings Kylo back to the good side after he kills his father in Han Solo, and then in my kind of storyline, right, he actually kills Finn as well. So that's like two different characters that he killed, but then Rey is there to bring him back around, and he ultimately takes out whoever the big bad was supposed to be, because no one can convince me the big bad was supposed to be the Emperor. That's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. So that was not what it was supposed to be. And like you said, you like the throne room scene. I think it actually shows how weak these two are in comparison, because you remember back in Revenge of the Sith, where Yoda walks in on the Red Guard and just swipes him away? These two had a
Oh
whole
yeah,
freaking long, drawn-out fight scene. But that's comparing, Kylo and Rey to Yoda, which is definitely not a fair comparison.
yeah,
So,
no, yeah, no.
but yeah, there are reasons why I like The Last Jedi a little bit more than Rise of Skywalker, but it doesn't matter because they both fucking suck. Logan.
All right. What is my next one? Okay, so this is gonna be a little difficult because I had a list, but all my list was only the movies, the normal movies, not the side stories and the show. Um, which I need to update this because I will admit some of my opinions have changed. Um, so what is my next movie or show or etc.? I don't know. This is a hard one. I'm gonna have to say Boba Fett will be my next one
Okay, that's surprising.
because I don't know if I'd even put that in there. So we're only doing live action, right?
Yeah. So the
You know what? No,
shows.
I changed my opinion.
Okay.
It's Star Wars Phantom Menace is my next one. There you go. Phantom Menace is my least favorite of the prequels. Even in my opinion, way least favorite compared to even Attack on Clones. I know that's heresy, people might say, and that's fine, but I just think Phantom Menace, don't get me wrong, I understand its importance in the story, so it's not inherently a garbage movie. It's definitely nowhere close to The Last Jedi. I feel like most of these movies up here aren't like inherently garbage, whereas more Last Jedi was just garbage. That was like Thor Dark World of the Star Wars, where literally I just absolutely despise
How
Last
dare
Jedi.
you
With
speak about Thor the Dark World that much? The
dude,
Last
Dark World
Jedi is.
sucks.
Yeah, it does. But The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker
It's
are
about on
straight
par with
garbage.
that for me, dude.
I
That's exactly
disagree.
what it is.
I can
Dude,
watch The Dark
The
World 10
Last Jedi
times
doesn't
over.
even have enough action to even cover up the garbageness of it. It literally has, honestly, probably in my opinion, the least amount of action compared to any other Star Wars movie.
Well, no, I'm saying
I
that's
think of all
way
time.
worse than The Dark World. I'm saying The Dark World's way better of a movie than that. But okay, we're getting off
Oh,
track.
that's
That's
true.
the MCU.
That's true.
Yeah,
Dark
no,
World is
I
definitely better.
I was saying, how
Okay.
dare you speak ill of Thor?
But
All
yeah,
right.
I think Phantom Menace is, don't get me wrong, Darth Maul will always be one of my favorite villains to show up. I think he's such a badass. I think he's really cool. I love that he comes back in the Clone Wars and you'll learn a little bit more about him. I'm not going to ruin it if you haven't watched the show, but if you haven't watched it by now, I'm sorry. It's May the 4th. You're going to get some spoilers out there. But yeah, Phantom Menace, I just don't really care for all the characters. They also introduced one of the worst characters in Star Wars history, which was Jar Jar Binks. Uh, which, by the way, I just learned that Jar Jar Binks actually, the dude that did Jar Jar Binks actually came back, and he's not Jar Jar Binks, and he's in Mandalorian. Didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's kind of cool.
that was a
I'm
whole
actually,
storyline, yeah.
hey, at least he actually has a more exciting role now. But
He's
yeah,
a
Jar Jar
Jedi.
Binks really sucked. What? Yeah, he's a Jedi, which is cool. But yeah, Jar Jar Binks, hate him. with every fiber of my being, he's in that movie the entire time. He definitely was there just to sell toys, and I think he's a garbage character. He's not funny. He's not wacky and interesting. And anything he ever shows up in, and I mean, that's why you barely see him in Attack of Clones or especially Revenge of the Sith. You literally basically never see him. So I hated him as a character. I thought he was in that movie far too much. They tried to make it way too kiddish. It wasn't as kiddish as Disney-fied, as some of these other Disney things, but it just wasn't that good. I also thought Little Annie was annoying as shit. I mean, yes, the pod racer thing was super cool, but I thought Little Annie was annoying. I thought Jar Jar Binks and all the race thing, that was just boring. I think Qui-Gon Jinn's cool, don't get me wrong. I think Darth Maul's really cool. I think Obi-Wan's kind of a bitch in this one. Other than, he does kind of kick Darth Maul's ass, which is cool. And don't get me wrong, that scene will be forever memorable in my brain. I think it is one of the most memorable and exciting scenes of the whole movie. But that's the fact. That is the only scene in the movie where I was like, damn, I'm willing to watch that entire scene and be super pumped the entire time. Every other part of the movie, I'm bored. I'm bored out of my mind. I think every other part of the movie is so boring. It's a slog. It's slow. It's probably, again, one of the more least action-packed Star Wars movies, which you're going to kind of come to conclusion. I really love action-packed Star Wars movies more than the ones that are a lot more slower. And that's what this one is. It's really slow. Pretty much the entire movie. I feel like there's not a lot that happens. And then at the very end, that's when things actually start to go down, and that's when things get interesting. And I think I already forgot the something of the Fates.
Duel of the Fates.
Duel of the Fates is still one of the best Star Wars scenes out there. Don't get me wrong, but that doesn't mean the whole movie's good because of it. So that's why it's in my, what is it, 15? We're out of 15,
14th.
right? So we're in
14th.
14th. That is my 14th one. So
all right, my next one on the list. This is good. We're already seeing some splintering between our lists. I was afraid our lists were going to be a little too similar. So
oh no. You're gonna, especially when we get to the top, it's gonna really get crazy from there. So, which I had to change some things because I think I really made some people mad with what I had as my old list.
So my 13th ranked technically is set on my list 11, but I'm gonna stop saying that because it's not applicable. My 11th is Attack of the Clones.
Okay.
I think it is the worst of the prequel trilogy. You said the Phantom Menace is boring. I think the Phantom Menace has 3 or so good scenes that I really enjoy. I think Attack of the Clones has one at the end. I think the entirety of this movie is a absolute snooze fest. Camino is cool. I like kind of the stuff that they did with the story and how we got some of the ideas of the clones. I like some of that. I think the fight with oh my god, I forgot his name, the Sith.
Count Dooku?
Yeah, I forgot his name. I think the fight with Dooku isn't really that good, honestly. I mean, we do get a little bit of, Anakin starting to turn here. There are cool things. We're moving into, honestly, even with Attack of the Clones, the things that now as time has gone on and we've gotten the sequel trilogy, I don't hate these things as much as I used to do. But I still think Attack of the Clones is my least favorite of the prequel trilogy for a multitude of reasons. Again, we're going to get to my next least favorite of the prequel trilogy very shortly. But I think Attack of the Clones is boring. It has the single stupidest scene.
Okay, yeah, that scene
in the entirety of Star Wars. I will 100%
admit that scene is probably the worst.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yes,
can't say you're wrong.
Again, there are good things in it. Yoda fighting Dooku, that is fine. I don't love the Dooku and Obi-Wan and Anakin fight, even though we do get some darkness in Anakin. He's starting to show it. I think they ruined, part of his turn with him going to, his mother and going to save his mother and killing the Tuskens. They completely black screen that. Don't really show you his anger or anything like that. And then you get the scene with him and Padme and the cleaners. When
I hate sand. It's so coarse.
No, not that one. That one's also bad. The one where he's right after he does he kills the entire Tusken Raider camp.
Oh,
I slaughtered them like animals. It's terrible, and I understand that's Hayden Christensen just not acting well. I get
Yeah.
that, but that's the part of the movie. I have to take it as what is presented, and I think Attack of the Clones is the for me, easy answer for the worst of the prequel. It's boring. It has multiple scenes that are straight up just not done well, not performed well. Although I do have to admit there are some cool things, especially story and narrative, that they did with this movie, but it doesn't make up for I slaughter them like animals and I hate sand, and it doesn't make up for just the litany of really, really dumb shit that's in this movie. Some of the high points. So, Attack of the Clones coming in at the very bottom of the prequel trilogy. I do think there's a significant gap between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker and Attack of the Clones. I don't think there's very many redeeming qualities to the final two sequel trilogy movies, whereas there are redeeming qualities to even my least favorite of the prequels in Attack of the Clones. So,
All right. My next one. So I was gonna say this for the other one, but I ended up changing it. So I think now it's Boba Fett for me. I think Boba Fett is easily what we're on 15, so we're on 13. That's my 13th place one.
yeah.
Boba Fett, the only thing that slightly puts it over Phantom Menace, I know I really probably made a lot of people angry with that. I'm not sorry.
It's your
So
opinion. I don't give a shit
yeah,
what other people think. Okay, I
the
do,
only
but
thing that makes Boba Fett even slightly peak over Phantom Menace is not because of Boba Fett itself. It's honestly mainly because of Mandalorian season 2.5, which is basically 2 or 3 episodes of that season or that show, where I think those 2 to 3 episodes are the best episodes of the entire show, which is sad because it's not even about Boba Fett. And it's just so disappointing because Boba Fett had unbelievable potential. It's kind of like the same thing with the did you ever watch Daredevil on Netflix? Well, I
yeah,
guess not
I
Netflix
absolutely loved
now,
it.
it's Disney. Yeah, okay. Remember when they introduced Punisher? And I thought Punisher was really badass in Daredevil. I thought he was awesome. I was super hyped to see him in it. And then he came out with his own show, and it wasn't good.
Never
It
watched it.
was okay. Well, it wasn't good. It was very disappointing. And that's kind of how this was. Boba Fett shows up in Mandalorian. He was badass. He was hype. I was super hyped, especially after the end of season 2, where they showed him, at Jabba's palace. I was like, hell yeah, this is gonna be cool. And then the show was, well, as you probably heard before, it was Disney-fied, and it was horrible. It was really, really bad. It had a lot of cringy things in it. Boba Fett, which is supposed to be this dark and he's a bounty hunter, so he's like, he's not really a very friendly kind of guy. And what we get in the show is like the complete opposite of what I remember Boba Fett being. I just found him to be super weak. He got hit around all the time. All the side characters were god awful. They made some of the most cringy lines I've ever seen. It just altogether was such a disappointment because it was just boring. It was not exciting to watch, other than those 2 to 3 episodes with Mandalorian, which again, it's sad to say this, but that's the only thing keeping it up. This would probably be below Phantom Menace if it wasn't for that. So that's why I put it in that place.
All right, go ahead and go with your next one so eventually we catch up to each other since I am missing
Okay.
two. So you're number
This is where
12.
things are starting to get a little difficult because I don't have my list. So, all right. Next one, I think, is going to be. So I'm going to be changing some. Okay. I'm going to put Rise of Skywalker as my next one. Okay. I have to change up my list a little bit because I actually had Rise of Skywalker really high up for a while there. I don't know what my opinion was, but after rewatching again, I do have to bring it down a little bit.
All
I
the
don't know
way.
if I want to put Rise of Skywalker here.
No, you do. It deserves to be low.
That's such a difficult one, man. I don't know. I like parts of Rise of Skywalker, but I got you know what? No, I'm gonna keep it here. Yeah, Rise of Skywalker is number 12 for me. Um, after rewatching it, yeah, it has a lot of flaws, like a lot. But I did find a lot of enjoyment in it. I think it has really good action scenes in it. Like a lot of good action scenes in my opinion, especially that scene where they're fighting next to the Death Star and the water. That scene's fucking cool, man. You may not like it, but you gotta admit that scene's pretty fucking cool. And there's a lot of really cool things. Like I love that they went back to the Death Star to explore all that. I know it doesn't make a lot of sense, but it still was really cool. Um, I thought all the fight scenes between Rey and Kylo were really badass. Um, I do like the little bit of exploration. I like that they brought back a lot of characters and everything. But in the end, yeah, it was a mess of a story. It's and I think that's mainly due to the fact of my least favorite movie, which was Last Jedi. Last Jedi is the biggest reason why that movie is the way it is, because basically Last Jedi kind of fucked up the entire story. So now they're like, how do we go with this? Like, where do we go? Clearly, a lot of people didn't like Last Jedi. So why, like, where do we go with this? Like, how do we appease the audience that didn't like it? And so that's where it's like, yeah, I get it. It was a mess, but I do think they did the best of what they could, because the person who made Last Jedi completely ruined the storyline, and so they kind of had to just do something. Not saying it was great, but I will say I enjoyed it more than even The Phantom Menace, even more than Last Jedi for sure. Last Jedi is still the worst movie I've ever seen. Um, but I will admit it has its flaws. It's not perfect. I don't think the Palpatine should have been her grandpa or whatever. I just thought that was weird. I do agree with you that Kylo should have been the one that lived at the end. It makes so much more sense, in my opinion. I don't like the fact that Rey is the one that lived, because I find that to be kind of boring, and she's not a Skywalker, and the whole title's Rise of the Skywalker. So it was just, yeah, I mean, I thought it was a pretty good movie, but I will admit it has its faults, and it's definitely not up there in my list. So yeah, that was my 12th,
Okay,
right?
you're
Yeah,
12th.
12th. Okay.
I'm technically on 10, but we'll get caught up
Yeah.
here momentarily. All right.
Okay.
My next one. So, it's been a while. Attack of the Clones was my number 11th ranked. My next one is The Phantom Menace. I think it is marginally better than Attack of the Clones. Um, Mostly because the Duel of the Fates. You say one scene doesn't change it. That scene can for me. I think Duel of the
That's fair.
Fates. Um, I was sitting here while you were talking about it, and I don't know if I'm 100% on this next comment that I'm about to make. There may be something that I'm missing, or maybe a couple things. I think the Duel of the Fates is one of the best scenes in all of Star Wars, if not the number one. I
I
every
so disagree with you, but
I
it's
That's
fair.
fine. I said one of. I
It's
don't know if
fair.
I 100% agree with that
Yeah.
comment, but sitting here thinking about Duel of the Fates, everything outside of just the lightsaber battle, the music, the setting, the feeling of tension, even the whole thing in um the space fight. You know, Anakin isn't great in this movie. Yes, Anakin is bad in this movie, but there is some cool moments up there in the space scene. You know, when he goes into the command ship and then when he comes out, and I don't know, I just love the line. It's one of us coming out of the main hole. It's just cool, and then the music hits. It gives me that Star Wars feel that I love. It gives me that celebratory feel. And then when you pair that directly with what's happening in the Duel of the Fates, with the loss of Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan's pretty much ascension to being a Jedi Knight as opposed to being an apprentice or a Padawan. He's not even a Padawan, he's an apprentice. But his ascension into knighthood in that moment, I think, is just so sad and fist bumpy at the same time. It gives you that fuck yes, but then you remember after, you're like, oh, well, Qui-Gon just died. And I think that scene can easily save the movie, and I can easily put it above Attack of the Clones, not just for the lightsaber fight, but everything that's happening around that scene, in the sky, on Naboo, everything that encompasses those last 30 minutes or so of the movie, I think is easily enough to push that up above Attack of the Clones. And that's really only like the reason why, because I just love Duel of the Fates and the ending of The Phantom Menace so much. And especially like some nerdy film stuff, you know, when the Chancellor walks up, the remix song that's in there is actually the Emperor's theme from the original trilogy, but remixed in a very, very like heightened, inspiring way. But it's the same song and same tune. They just did it in a different way. So that celebratory song at the end is the Emperor's theme, and I just think that little bit of like filmic knowledge is so cool that it's a celebratory moment, and the music that is playing is like, oh yeah, we did it, but there is the Emperor's theme in there, giving you that hint of who he's going to be. And I love the ending of the Phantom Menace. While I do agree with you, the rest of the movie is boring, is not really good. Other than the pod racing, I think the pod racing is
Pod racing was
awesome.
cool too.
I think
Don't get me
yeah,
wrong, that was cool.
those two scenes are enough to overlap some of the good story beats for me that Attack of the Clones hits. But like I said, there's a big gap between the prequels and the sequel, the last two movies, the sequel trilogy. So we're getting into the point now that I think most of what is, basically okay movies in my mind. Not great, but okay. And I do think, Duel of the Fates and the pod racing, those two things bring it above Attack of the Clones for me. So my number 10, Attack of the Clones, technically it's my number 11, but we'll catch up here in a second. So what is your number 11, sir?
Wait, you mean Phantom Menace? I'm confused now.
I didn't say
You
anything.
meant Phantom Menace.
Yeah. Phantom Menace.
You said Attack on Clones.
Oh, well, it's slightly
that's
above
what...
Attack on the Clones. Sorry.
Okay. All right. This is where things are starting to get very difficult for me because again, I'm trying to throw in shows and okay. This is actually, I think I got one. All right. I'm stuck between two things with this one. And it's between a show and a movie. Or where I want to put this. I am going to say Kenobi is my next one. Kenobi is my next at what? Where am I at right now? 11? Is that 11?
11.
Okay. Kenobi was, in my opinion, quite the disappointment for me because, and it's mainly, I think, Disney's fault for this. And well, it seems like a lot of things are actually Disney's fault with a lot of these Star Wars things. And it's mainly because I think Kenobi's too short. They brought back such a beloved character after literally, well, spoiler alert, one of my favorite movies. Like this is after episode 3, and this is years and years after we get to see an awesome, just like semi-older, Obi-Wan Kenobi, one that's a little bit out of practice with the Jedi arts and everything. And we get to see kind of an after effect of what episode 3 did to him. And it was just like, I think everyone was beyond excited for this show. And so, to my surprise, it ended up being not as good as I was hoping for it to be. It definitely overhyped. I guess I was a little overhyped for it, but it also it sucks because the show could have been so much better if they literally gave it like 3 more episodes. Because it just felt so rushed. The plot was completely rushed. Don't get me wrong. I think the last episode is insanely freaking cool. It's insanely badass. I don't think Mike watched it, so I'm not going to say what happens, but it is really awesome what happens. And it gave me super hardcore vibes from episode 3. It was amazing. It was cool. But then it just made me want more. And I guess maybe that is a good thing because I just wanted more of this. But who knows if we ever are going to get more. And that's where it kind of is a problem too, because it's like, I don't think they gave it enough time to do this entire plot, this kind of story that they wanted. And in the end, it kind of fell flat because I feel like a lot of characters they were introducing, a lot of characters they were trying to make important. Also, just talking about why Obi-Wan is the way he is, it felt just so rushed. It was like bam, 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 end of the show. I think it was like 6 episodes. It just was so excessively short. It needed like 8 episodes. And I think that's my biggest flaw with it. It's just it was too short. It didn't have enough time to give out its story. And in the end, it just didn't have the same punch that I was hoping for. And that's why I'm so disappointed in it. Because I just don't feel like we got enough of, well, Obi-Wan. So, yeah, that's why I put it in my 11th place. I'm going to keep forgetting. 11th place. So, yeah.
All right. Well, my number 9, my next one after the Phantom Menace, it's gonna sound a little familiar, but it is Kenobi, and yes, I have watched it all.
Okay.
So, But it is the main reason why I put it down here is exactly what Logan said. Failed expectations, failure to live up to those expectations, and an overall feeling of just too much to do, too little time. It's very much,
Hmm.
you know, Game of Thrones like syndrome here. Like you had the time to tell the story you should have told, and you just didn't do it. So that is the main reason why it's put in here. I think the lightsaber battles and that happened at the end of 3 and 6 are absolutely incredible. You know, Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader, both of them. I think a lot of what the show had in it was really, really good. It just had a lot that it got lost in, and it took too much time away from what the show should have been about. And, you know, going into this, there were so many things that we thought it was going to be, what we thought it could have been, and it just wasn't any of that. And it, you know, it's just the Disney, man. Like they have done
Hmm.
some good stuff. Don't get me wrong. We're gonna get to it eventually here, pretty high up, honestly, on my list.
Hmm.
But ever since their kind of initial couple years with Star Wars, it has just been a total letdown in all phases of what these characters mean and what they should mean and what they should be to us. And that sucks. Yes, I was super hyped for Kenobi, probably too much hype. And man was a letdown. I you know it just took too long to get to the cool things, and I didn't spend enough time on the cool things. And that's not a very in depth way to explain my thought process on it, but that's what I got. That's my main thing. It's just like there was so many things they could have done, and they maybe did 2 out of the 20 things they could have done, and that's it. All
And there
right,
were so many things they could have done with it. So many things. And I gotta say, every time Darth Vader showed up, it was really cool.
dude,
Don't
he
get me
is.
wrong.
I mean, it's Darth
Those
Vader
scenes
though.
were awesome, and it makes me kind of want a Darth Vader show. I don't
I
know how well they could do it, but it would be really cool.
You know,
It'd be
there's a
really, really
trend
cool.
because it happens again with another movie I'm going to be talking about here. When Darth Vader shows up in Disney, he's badass. He's Darth
Yeah,
Vader. He does his shit. They're doing
seeing him
that
as
character
Prime
Duchess.
is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah,
It's so cool, especially. Sorry if you haven't watched it. I mean, you probably should have if you're a Star Wars fan by now. But that scene when Darth Vader grabs that ship, dude, I was getting Star Wars Unleashed vibes, and it was so fucking
Force
hype.
Unleashed.
Yeah, Force
Force
Unleashed.
Unleashed. Yeah,
Damn it, that's Star Wars
it's
Unleashed. Yeah, you
okay.
know me.
It's fine.
Yeah,
But yes,
yeah.
no. Disney. If there's one thing that Disney has done right, outside of the Mandalorian, spoiler alert, it is Darth Vader. They've done him
Mhm,
justice. He's the only
mhm.
character they've done justice, but they've done him justice.
Yeah, I
So
know, right?
I guess if you're gonna succeed with the biggest character of the franchise. So,
Mhm.
all right, you're number 10, sir.
Okay. Again, it's getting pretty difficult. So number 10 is gonna be Attack on Clones. Attack of the Clones. Um, I totally agree with you. There are parts in this movie that just were not good. There's no excuse. But I do think there's a lot more good scenes, in my opinion, in this movie than there are bad. And they also have some of the most iconic scenes in Star Wars, in my opinion, that I absolutely love, like the fight at on Camino with Obi-Wan versus Jango Fett, the arena fight where Mace Windu kills Jango Fett. We get the awesome just arena fight in general, where it has Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Padme. We get um also just that cool assassination scene where they're chasing that bounty hunter and Django killed her. We get the fight against Count Dooku. We get introduction to some of my favorites, and they're not characters, but my favorite thing in Star Wars, which is the clones. And the introduction of clones when they first showed them off, it was hype as fuck. Geonosis, the entire section of the movie, which is pretty much the end of the movie, absolutely amazing. I thought though that the entire part was so damn good. Also, that big Jedi fight in the arena was so cool, dude. Also, seeing that big fight with the droids and all that, I just felt like that's when the prequels really start to hit. But well, I said 10, right? This is 10. Okay, I'm gonna keep forgetting. I'm gonna keep asking you, but Yeah, I gotta admit though, it does have its faults, and that's why it lands in 10 for me because it does have those negatives that kind of do bring it down. It's that in that middle section of the movie where it just kind of like you have all this excitement, you have Obi-Wan doing his whole investigation thing to figure out like who this bounty hunter is and all that. I mean, I think Obi-Wan, by the way, other than Phantom Menace, I think both him in 2 and 3 are insanely good. I think he does an insanely great job in both those movies. I honestly almost think of him as the main character because of how good he is. Um, but I can't lie when I'm at the middle part of that movie, just really it kind of just crashes, and it doesn't really need to be there. And I don't think it's really well done, but I do think the beginning and the end are all insanely good. It's just that middle that isn't great, and that's where it can't be up there in the high Star Wars stuff for me, live action Star Wars stuff. So yeah.
I mean, I'll agree with you on those points. Like I said, I think the Phantom Menace and Attack and Clones are very close. I do like the ending of it. I don't love the Count Dooku fight, but I fucking adore Duel of the Fates. I adore that entire sequence so much. Maybe it's because when I was a kid, this was the first Star Wars that I went to see in theaters. It was the
That's
first Star
fair.
Wars that was out.
That's the first I got to go see
Yeah.
too.
So
So.
it's like I guess it has that memory of it for me. Like my dad showed me the other Star Wars, so I was already a huge fan. But he took me to see the Phantom Menace, and I was just enthralled with everything.
Mm.
And maybe on a rewatch I'll switch them around a little bit, but I love Duel of the Fates so much. I do have to admit, the whole clone sequence and all that. And like I said, there's a lot of good story stuff that they do with it, but
Mm-hmm.
there's just so much, specifically almost everything with Anakin that I just fucking hate. I hate everything on Naboo. I hate when they go back to Tatooine. I hate all of it so much. And yes, when they get to Geonosis, it is really fun. It is,
Mm-hmm.
that like you said, once they get to Geonosis, it feels like the prequel trilogy as a whole takes off. That's where it
Yeah,
really
yeah.
goes.
I
But
again, I think 2 is like that ramp up. Like Phantom Menace was like here, had a lot of cool stuff, especially towards the end. But then episode 2, it was kind of like a slope. It got it. It was still going forward, then it went down, and then it just skyrocketed up. And
yeah,
that's when I feel like the prequels really started to hit. Was that peak there?
all right. My next one after Kenobi, and this is where it's gonna start to hurt Logan a little bit.
That's fine.
And probably hurt a lot of Star Wars fans. I've been in arguments about this one, but my number 8 is Rogue One. I'm gonna start by saying the last 45 minutes of Rogue One are beautiful filmmaking and everything that Star Wars should be. The first hour and 15 minutes of this movie are probably some of the most boring parts of Star Wars for me. For me personally, I do not like the beginning of this movie. The first 2 acts of this movie, I think, are very slow. They're trying to make me care about these characters who, spoiler alert, at the end of it, don't make it. And I just didn't. I didn't care about the main character. I definitely didn't care about fucking Andor and anything that was going on with him. I didn't even care about Middleton's character, who I should love. I love that actor. Um, I just don't like the first part of this movie. It's not bad enough. Those last 45 minutes are so good. It puts it over 90 other, well, let's see. 4 other um trilogy movies for me. Um
Mm-hmm.
that last 45 minutes is spectacular. Absolutely amazing. And the ending of it, so good. Ending where it all began. All of it is so good. That's why I can't in good conscience put it below anything else that I have here. But I don't like the beginning of this movie. I don't like the characters in this movie, and I just think it's really boring for a little over an hour of it, and I can't. I watched it again recently, and I can't. That's still my opinion. I tried changing. I tried looking at it from a different point of view, and I just don't like the opening acts of this movie. But that ending though, it is fire.
That's fair. I was actually surprised to see it get that high. To be honest, I thought you were gonna aim for it to be lower.
I've never said
So
I hated Rogue One. I just don't
that's
like
fair.
the beginning. I just think it's boring. I remember I was falling asleep in the beginning of this
Hmm.
movie, and then I was just like, "This is so boring. I don't care about any of this." But then, yes, I said last 40 minutes or so, that's some good shit right there. All right.
All
You're
right.
number 9,
So I
sir.
said
You're number
number
9.
9. Okay, number 9.
Above
Solo.
Attack of the Clones. Solo. Okay.
Solo. Solo is here's the thing. I think Solo is a good movie in a sense. And I think the best way to describe Solo is I think if it wasn't named Han Solo, I think it'd be a better movie because it kind of isn't. It's more just about like, I mean, I guess it is about him. I don't know. It's a very weird movie where I think it does a really good job at least of telling a story all the way through. And I think there are some moments in it that I really enjoyed. I do think there's some stuff in it that's really cool. I like the whole heist scene quite a bit. I thought that was very well done. Um, I think telling his story and showing us like how he started and where he got to, I thought was really great. But again, I feel like towards the end, it started to get a little weird. And I think it kind of struggles with telling his story just a bit. I do think it would have been a little bit more exciting is if they ended the movie where episode 4 where they meet. I thought that would have been far cooler than what how they ended it in the movie, but they just ended it with him basically just in the Millennium Falcon. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty dang good movie. I don't think there's a lot of flaws I can have with it, other than they bring up some plot points that we will probably never hear of, like the fact that Darth Maul shows up in it, and we're like, why? What? Who? Why was he there?
Well, I think
We
he
never
that
get anything about that,
I think we were supposed to get stuff with it, but
and then we didn't.
then Rise of Skywalker happened. So
Yeah. So that's why I was just it was just a weird thing to show. It got me a little excited when it came out. I'm like, oh, that's gonna be fucking cool. But then it never got answered. So we're just kind of like, oh, okay, cool. But there was a lot of good things in the movie. I thought there was a lot of really good action in it. I kind of liked because this was before Mandalorian, and this was kind of like that first Western style Star Wars that they were telling, where I like these like shootouts and everything. I thought they were really badass. I kind of like this more bounty hunter style. Again, it feels like this was kind of like them testing the waters to what Mandalorian was to become. And I feel like overall, I enjoyed the movie. I do think it's better than Attack on Clones, because I don't think there's as many faults in this
Attack
movie. There
of the
isn't
Clones.
Attack of the Clones.
Keep saying Attack
Uh,
on Clones.
oh yeah, it's true. Tack on the clones. But yeah, it's a good movie, and I do think it is better than that, than episode 2. And it was just a good movie. I don't know. It's really difficult because I don't think there was as memorable scenes as Attack of the Clones. I'm gonna keep messing that up. But I do think overall they told a better story. It was more like I would say fluid. It didn't seem to dip really hard in the middle. It felt like they knew what they wanted to tell. There was no super big slowdowns, and I think at the end I was like, this was a pretty dang good movie. I was interested all the way through. So that was my number 9.
All
Yeah.
right. No. Yes. Yes. Sorry, I was looking at
Yes.
my list,
Yep.
confused myself. All right.
Almost tricked me again.
I almost shook me. All right, my next one
Yeah.
after Rogue One, again, gonna sound pretty familiar. It is Solo. I think it is slightly better
Yeah.
than Rogue One for a lot of the reasons Logan pointed out. The way I always describe this movie is, I think it is a pretty damn good movie that had no reason to exist. Like, we didn't
Yeah.
learn enough about the Solo character to give me a reason why I should have spent whatever I spent, probably $12 to go see it. We didn't really learn too much that we needed to know about the character. But I do think overall, like Logan said, it is a far more consistent movie for me than Rogue One was, where there were quite a few lows and one very high for Rogue One for me. Solo is a very even kilter, steady movie, like Logan said. There's not a lot of slow parts in it. There's also not a lot of great, amazing moments. Like, I can't really think of any one scene in Solo that I would put up there with even close to some of the best scenes in Star Wars. But it is overall a very enjoyable film for me. The humor hits. The robot, who I don't remember her name in it. Maybe it's him. I can't. I think it's her, isn't it?
Yeah, it's to her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. She's really funny. I really enjoyed her. I like seeing the poker game that we heard about, well, not poker, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
essentially
yeah.
poker. How he gets the Millennium Falcon. I liked seeing all that. And like Logan has said, it is a very even kilter film, wholly enjoyable throughout most of its runtime. And that's why I think for me it goes a little bit above Rogue One, barely ever so slightly, just because it's more of a complete film for me with a decent to good story. Like I said, overall, that when I left it, I didn't need to watch, but I was glad that I did. So, all right, you're not honestly. You put Solo way higher than I thought you were. If I thought you hated Solo.
No, I liked Solo.
Oh,
I thought there was a
so
lot. The thing is, like, I totally agree with you. I don't. It's a very weird thing where I feel like it shouldn't have been called Solo because we barely learned anything about Han Solo. But overall, I thought it was a good movie where it had a lot of very interesting scenes and a lot of very interesting. Again, it kind of just reminds me a lot of Mandalorian. Like it's almost like they were practicing for Mandalorian, and then Mandalorian is what really hit that Western Star
yeah,
Wars kind of
which
feeling,
is what it
where
always
that
used to
was kind of
be.
like the beginning to it.
Yeah, it always used to be the Western in space.
Yeah.
That's what Star Wars always was. That's what A New Hope is. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I just again, like you said, we didn't. The only thing we saw in Solo was the stories that we had already knew of from
Yeah.
what Star Wars lore had taught us. We just finally saw it. So again, a good movie that had no reason to be made. All right, what's your number
All
8?
right. Starting to get a little spicy in here. Um, so number 8. I was tempted to do this, but I'm not gonna do that because I feel like even for myself, I can't in good faith put this above a movie that's so beloved. So I am going to put Andor as my next one, which that's number 8. Yeah, number 8. Um, Andor was a surprise for me. And by the way, people, go watch it because it's actually really good. It's really weird because I had no faith in this show. I didn't really care about this character in Rogue One, so which by the way, this character is about I already forgot his name. I feel bad about this.
Well, his name is
But
Andor, isn't it?
yeah, it's something Andor.
Oh, okay.
I
Isn't
can't
that
remember what it was,
Cassius
but
Andor?
yes, yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. So yeah, he's in Rogue One. And this show is set before Rogue One, before he's in the rebels side, before he's an assassin, etc. And but I gotta admit, man, this show was really good. It was a really weird one too, because it was way out of left field because it feels like the least, other than Mandalorian, probably the least Disney-fied Star Wars I've seen. I actually really think this show is great. I found it to be very interesting, all original, with all original characters, no having to put beloved characters, not having to have anything about Jedi's, nothing. This is a straight up original tale, and it was actually very fascinating, very interesting. It was a very serious told story with a lot of great moments in it, and it was just a really good show. It was very exciting. I was enthralled with it. I literally watched it in like 3 days because I was just so interested in it. It was actually really, really good. It almost kind of reminds me of like what if Blade Runner was Star Wars, kind of. I guess that's a really bad example, but I'm just trying to say that's kind of the vibes I was giving it because he's got that trench coat. He's got that like that pistol and it's like there's a lot of neon lights and stuff. So it kind of reminds me of Blade Runner a little bit. But it is very much an original story, not needing anything to back it up. No fan favorite characters,
I mean, that
unless you
fits.
count Andor as a fan favorite character. Then I guess technically, yeah, that is a fan. With a non-original character, but I think the story is so original, so interesting. It's not a very kid-like story. It's a lot more serious. There's no dumb jokes. There's no cheesy one-liners. It is literally all just it's just such a surprise. It's way out of left field, and it is too good of a show. Like, and I'm happy that there's gonna be a season 2 because I'm telling you again, Mike, go watch it. It's
Yeah, I
actually
mean,
really good.
everything
I
you
do
said.
not like this character in Rogue One. I do not like him in Rogue One, but he is so good in this show. It honestly makes me like him more in Rogue One because he's literally really good in this show. I think this show is a must watch. It is actually really good, and I
I
mean
mean,
that.
everything you said makes me, not excited because I still hate the character, but interested to
Mhm.
watch it. And I do need to
Yeah.
catch up before Ahsoka comes out because you're damn right I'm there day one for Ahsoka.
Yes.
I can't fucking wait. Hopefully it's not a Kenobi where I'm overhyping it. All right, well
Oh God, no.
since you threw out your second one that I haven't watched, we're gonna be caught up here in a second. So go ahead and give me your number 7, and then we're completely caught up with each other.
Okay. So number 7. This is hard. So number 7. Wait, so we got. I feel like I'm forgetting something. I think I'm getting things out of order. I'm on 7. Oh, I know what I'm missing. Okay. This is gonna make people mad. 7 is New Hope. Star Wars: A New Hope. That is my number 7. I know.
Okay.
I pissed off a lot of people. A lot.
You do you,
Yeah,
bro.
thank you. So I know A New Hope is what started Star Wars. I know that. I know how fantastic it is. I know how it made the shirt I'm wearing right now. I know. I know. Star Wars wouldn't be what it is without it. But just because that's what made Star Wars what it is today doesn't mean it's my favorite movie of all time. It's the best Star Wars movie of all time. It is not. It's not. And I think there are better new things that have come out that I think are better than A New Hope. Don't get me wrong. New Hope is great. For the time period, for what it is, there's no doubt whatsoever that New Hope is a great movie. But I gotta fault it on one thing, and I think it's not really their fault because it also was the first movie. They didn't have probably the budget. I understand, but I think No Hope is a really good story, and it's a very original story. But I don't. It's kind of like it's just a movie that was setting up something, and I don't think it's much more than that. They introduced us to one of our favorite characters, which is Luke Skywalker. They told the story about how Luke is, and Luke and Leia, and how they are the kids of Darth Vader. And, it's a very classic, fun adventure, is what it is. It doesn't really do much other than introduce Star Wars, but it doesn't do much more than that. I don't think it did anything too crazy. I also think the fight scenes are the lamest thing ever, especially Obi-Wan's death. But also, I know the movie, it was the first movie. I understand. I'm sure they didn't have, like, choreography like they do now. But I can't give it like props because it's just not my favorite. It's not up there in my top 3. It's not. I'm sorry. Don't worry. Oh shit! Almost hit this light. So, but
The light's
I
coming
get too
for you. It's pissed
aggressive.
off.
I know. That's pissed off at me because I said that. But don't get me wrong, people. It is a very good movie, clearly. I mean, heck, if it wasn't a good movie, we wouldn't have Star Wars to this day. So it's a great movie. I enjoy it. It's a classic. It's what started Star Wars. It's a fun little adventure. But anything more than that, I don't think it's one of the more interesting Star Wars movies. I don't think it's one of them that really does. I mean, I know it does a lot for Star Wars because it's what started it, but I think other movies have better stories to tell. That's the best way to go with it. So there you go.
All right, well, now that we're all caught up, let me give everybody out there a rundown of where, excuse me, of what our lists are looking like. At number 7, I have Solo. At 8, Rogue One. At 9, Kenobi. At 10, The Phantom Menace. At 11, Attack of the Clones. At 12, The Last Jedi. And at 13, the very bottom of the bottom for me, The Rise of Skywalker. Here's our Logan's list, the actual entire list of Star Wars. Number 7, A New Hope. Number 8, Andor. Number 9, Solo. Number 10, Attack of the Clones. And number 11, Kenobi. Number 12, The Rise of Skywalker. Number 13, Boba Fett. Number 14, The Phantom Menace. And number 15, the bottom of Logan's list, The Last Jedi. Jedi, excuse me. All right. So now we're getting into the hard ones of where to put them. And I don't think you're
And
ready
this is where
for.
things are really gonna get spicy. I
I
feel
don't
like
think
because
you're
we're
quite ready for the way my list shook out when I really sat down and thought about it. Because I've said things
yeah.
before that when I really sat down and started comparing things back to back, I'm like, you know what? This one does deserve to be over that one, yada, yada, yada. So, number
Mhm.
6, Return of the Jedi. And
Really?
granted, I just saw it. So, Return of the Jedi
Okay.
is a great movie, a absolutely fantastic movie. It has so much emotional resonance, even now. The ending is a straight gut punch to the feelings. It's beautifully shot, beautifully choreographed. The fight between Luke and Darth Vader is one of the most emotional fights I've ever seen in movies, full stop. But all that doesn't make up for the entire middle section of the movie that is a very big snooze fest. It is the entire section, Act 2 on Endor, is not exciting. It has a lot of dumb Star Wars moments, like the Ewoks throwing rocks at stormtroopers. I know it's funny to laugh at, but when you really think critically about it,
Yeah.
what is that?
Yeah.
Who shot that and was like, "Yep, mark it. That's what we're gonna do." There's a lot of dumb stuff in Endor, and I know Endor is a beloved planet. It's a huge portion of the Star Wars lore and everything like that. But I just don't love that middle section, and I think it's boring enough to really drop it below the rest of them that we have left here. And even with that, I adore the ending of this movie. I adore the story that's told in this movie. We get a lot of great moments. Luke telling Leia, they're related, and then seeing that look on her face, we're like, oh shit, I kissed you. That's a joke. It is kind of weird though, but it is a joke
Yeah, it is
nonetheless.
weird.
So, because she didn't know technically, so she had no clue. But there's it's just a really great movie. We've moved into great movie territory. Everything we're going to talk about now from this up is great, absolutely fantastic in my eyes. But I do think out of the original trilogy, this has always been my least favorite. It always will be my least favorite. I just don't love the Return of the Jedi solely for that middle portion. And even the opening portion isn't that exciting. Like the whole stuff on Tatooine, it's cool from a story perspective, but like you think about the Rancor fight, it's kind of dumb. You know, Luke is sitting there waving back and forth with this bone, and then he just lets himself get picked up, and then he jams the bone in his mouth, and then he runs to the door, and then closes the door. I really don't love the beginning, but I really, really don't like the middle section. But that ending, dude, the finale of the original trilogy, and
Hmm.
most people's eyes of Star Wars at the time, brings it home with a knockout, man. It is amazing, the end of this movie and the emotional resonance that the final confrontation has. So number 6, Return of the Jedi. I was sad to put it down that low. I really was, but I'm not in love with it, but I do like it.
All right. Mm. So I'm on number 6, right? Already mixed up. Tough one. Um, I'm gonna say Rogue One. I think Rogue One is my number 6. I think Rogue One is which is kind of funny because it's where it ends is where New Hope begins. But I think Rogue One is a very good movie. I think it's a very awesome movie in my opinion. It's a very good side story movie that I absolutely just love. It's all the most characters at least. At first I didn't really care about Andor. Maybe the show helped me a little bit, but um I thought the plot was awesome. I love the action. I thought the cinematography was phenomenal. I thought it was a very fascinating story to tell, especially to learn about how the Death Star plans were even found in the first place. Um, and it was just a very action-packed, awesome movie with a lot of, especially in my opinion, my favorite, even more than R2D2 in that, my favorite robot in Star Wars. Um, it's BD something, if I remember right. He is easily one of my favorite robots in all Star Wars. He's one of them, easily. Um, he was hilarious. I thought he was awesome. And
K2SO.
what is it?
K2SO.
Oh, K2SO. Yeah,
Not
he's
BD.
easily, yeah, not BD, sorry. But yeah, KTSO is easily one of my favorite robots in Star Wars. I think he was awesome in that movie. Especially his final moments were just freaking phenomenal. Also, just I love the way this movie ends. It's so damn good. Dude, I love that no one lives. That's fucking awesome. It was just it's not the story you usually see with Star Wars. There's always some, well, I get it, A New Hope. There's always like some kind of hope, you know. The hero lives to save the day, you know, like you know, if it was normal Disney, she would have got off that planet in time and also Andor and they would have lived. That would have been the normal story that you would probably see with Disney. But no, they are stranded and the Death Star hits the planet and they die. And it was awesome. And I think the villain of the movie was very fascinating. I thought he was a really cool general to focus on. Um, just a lot of it was really really good. You know, I liked pretty much the entire thing. It's one of those movies I watched multiple times, and I know this probably hurts a lot of people that I put this above A New Hope, but I think this movie deserves it. It's very good. It's awesome. It's one of my favorite Star Wars movies of all time. I mean, heck, you can't really be upset. A New Hope at least is in my top 10. So I feel like, you know, a lot of these are anything in mainly my top 10 is really good Star Wars movies. So no matter what from here on, they're all really good movies that I like. But there is a best and a better. So, and I think Rogue One is better. I know. I'm
All right,
sorry.
fair enough. We disagree, but fair enough.
Yes, that's fair.
All right, we're moving into the top five now. My number five, and I've had to really, really struggle with keeping this high on my list because of what comes after it. I've had to
Mhm.
really not let those movies affect how I felt about this movie for the longest time when I saw it, multiple viewings when it came out. Afterwards, I had to really try to not let the next movies affect it. So number five is The Force Awakens. I think it's the saddest Star Wars movie, not because of what happens in the movie, because of all the potential that was left on the table with it. I think it is the perfect setup. Okay,
Mhm.
not perfect. There's a couple things I would change with the knowledge of the next
A
movies.
damn good setup.
Yeah, it is a damn
Especially
good
after all
setup.
these years, they
Yeah,
did a damn fine job.
it intertwines things perfectly. It introduces interesting characters. I think Finn is the single most wasted character in Star Wars history. They did him so dirty in the rest of the movies, but in this movie, he's so cool. Yes, I looking on it as a whole, I would have liked to him become the Jedi because I think that's a more interesting story than the one we got. But still, at the time, we all thought Ray was a super interesting character, and it was like really interesting and unique what they were doing with it. Like, oh, who's this character? You know, this is someone who doesn't have a connection to any other families or anything that we have known from Star Wars at the time, which is what made her interesting. Turns out that wasn't the truth at all, but at the time, it was a unique perspective on what a Jedi could be, and you know, Han coming back, Han's death at the hands of his son. That is incredibly, incredibly emotional. It was emotional at the time. It wasn't emotional to bring me to tears, but I definitely, when Chewbacca had his yell and his scream, it hit me hard.
Yeah.
The humor is there. You know, that's not how the Force works. It's all just
Yeah.
really, really fucking good. And yes, it's brought down a lot by what comes after it. But I'm not letting that affect it because, in my opinion, The Force Awakens is absolutely fantastic. The second best thing we've gotten from Disney in terms of Star Wars. I adore this movie. I will always adore this movie. I think it is a thrill ride from start to finish. It introduces interesting characters. Snoke, super interesting character that nothing happens with him, but he's still a really interesting, could have been villain for the main trilogy. And yeah, everything that happens in this movie is, I think, absolutely awesome and fantastic. It is just a shame what happened to the rest of it. But that does not affect my opinion on what The Force Awakens could have been. And I'm holding it up there because of that.
All right. So what am I at? I already forgot. I'm gonna keep forgetting. 5. Okay. Oh man, things are getting difficult here. Things are getting very difficult. So, what am I gonna give good old number 5? I'm gonna go with Return of the Jedi because I know again this probably hurts a lot of people because I put two classics lower than some other things, but I think Return of the Jedi is a good end to the original trilogy, but it has a lot in it that I don't know. There's not a lot of negatives I can give for it, other than that. Yeah, I think the indoor is probably my least favorite part. It's just
I
the
mean, we're
little
in the top
Ewoks and
five
everything.
now, so there's not a lot of negatives to be had. You just got
Yeah,
to
I
figure
mean,
out
there's not
which
a
one you
lot for
liked
me to
more.
say for me to like to say negative about it because I like just about 90% of that movie. I think yeah, there's I really can't think. Actually, you know what? Fuck it. I can't really think of many negatives for this movie. I can't. I guess I haven't watched it in a while, so you have more recency, so you actually got to see it again. I need to go see it at theaters. I know, sad, but um, it's okay. I'll wait till Empire Strikes Back. Empire Strikes Back comes back in its 50-year anniversary.
In 7 years,
But
you're gonna wait to watch Empire Strikes Back in 7 years.
yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think I'll stop being a Star Wars fan by then. I
Who
mean, I hope
knows?
not.
Who knows? Maybe
That's true. I
maybe
don't think
Ahsoka
Disney will ever
sucks.
truly kill my Star Wars fandom,
That's true, but
but
they've lightened it.
uh,
That's for sure.
what? Oh,
So
lined it?
they've lightened it.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
yeah. I don't think there's much I can say other than yeah, there's some parts that are kind of okay, but like I think uh I really did like it, but I don't think again it's mainly just I didn't like this one as much as the other four that I'm going to be saying. But I do think that it was a very good ending to the story. I think we got to see a lot of Luke and his semi prime. You know, I would love to see more, which we did get to see in a certain show that we're going to be bringing up, I'm sure, later on down this line here. But yeah, you know, I thought it was really a good movie, and there's not much more to say about it, really. I think it was good. It's a good movie. Yeah, just not. Well, no, it's great, but not
I get what you're
awesome.
saying. I think everyone gets what you're
There
saying.
you go.
All
It's
right,
hard to really get a negative on it, but yeah.
my number 4, and this one I think based off our conversations in years past is really going to take Logan by surprise. Um, it's A New Hope.
Really,
It's A New
that's
Hope.
yeah. I thought that was weird that you put. I'm surprised.
I thought, granted we didn't have a lot of time to put this together, but I mean I think about my list all the time of MCU Star Wars. I always think about it. So, and I've really thought hard, and New Hope is an amazing movie. It's so good. It's so interesting and mysterious, and I think that's what is so cool about A New Hope is the mystery of the movie and what everything is. The introduction to everything. Logan said when he ranked it, just because it's the start of everything doesn't make it a good movie. I think it does. I think the introduction to everything that we didn't know anything about at the time is what makes it such a just a cool, interesting mystery of a movie. Like the whole movie's a mystery. We don't know what anything is. We don't know. They're talking about the Force and they're talking about this Darth Vader guy. Oh, and we're talking about all these different things. People forget they mentioned the Clone Wars in this movie. You know, they had the idea of what the Clone Wars is. There's this entire history that we have gotten detailed out in the past 47 years, 46 years that was all set up in this movie. And I think it still holds true. Yes, the Darth Vader and, Obi-Wan lightsaber fight isn't anything compared to what comes after. Alec Guinness was
Mhm.
like 70 years old when the movie was shot. Give him a break, all right?
No, I
He
know.
can't
That's
be
why I
jumping
gotta
around.
give it the I gotta understand that. Yeah, I
But the
understand they like they didn't have the same budgets, and they didn't probably have people to hire for choreography for stuff like that.
But the
But you
fact
know,
that the emotion is still there, and even watching it back with all the knowledge, the emotion is still there of what's happening. And that's with, we didn't know the history of these two characters like we do now, but you still felt that emotion because the movie, I think, justifies what happened in the history between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader way more than it ever had any right to in that moment, based on the fact that we knew nothing. I think that is the thing I'm going to keep coming back around to, is the fact that it is so intriguing and so mysterious enough to give us 50 years of storytelling is props enough that I can confidently put it in my top 5, and it'll probably never leave my top 5 because it deserves, in my mind, to be up there. Even though, yes, it is lacking in the visual department, in the action department, and all this stuff, but I think the story and the narrative behind it and the character development that happens behind it is so good, despite Luke being a whiny little bitch the whole time. That's what it is. That's he's a young kid. He doesn't know anything. I can excuse his whiny little bitchisms here and there, but everything that comes afterward, everything we've gotten, it's all due to this film, and I cannot, in good conscience, put it anything out of my top 5 because of those reasons. So, A New Hope, fantastic. It gave us everything that we've been talking about for the past hour plus, and that's why it's up there for me.
all right. Well then, so I'm on number 4. Okay, things are getting really difficult.
I want to point out you've said that every single time.
I know because I had a list, but I'm kind of completely changing it on the spot here
That's
because
fine.
I had a top like 9, which was all the movies and everything, but I didn't have all the shows and all that to put in there too. So, okay. Number 4 is Force Awakens for me. By far, I love Force Awakens. I am very happy I got to be there for that moment because I remember all the hype for Force Awakens. I remember that first trailer coming out
Oh my
and
god.
just being stupidly hyped because
I was like a
we
kid
haven't had
watching
Star
it.
Wars in years. It's kind of that weird thing where I'm sure the same people had the same feeling when Phantom Menace was coming out. After all the years after the sixth movie, the people probably like, oh shit, there's another Star Wars movie coming out. And after me growing up with the prequels, that's kind of what the sequels were for me. It was after all these years, we're getting a sequel and to like after the sixth movie and everything. And my hype was just insane. I remember everyone walking around talking about it. I remember all my teachers when I was wearing a hoodie, they're like, "You're going to go see the movie tonight," and everything. And then all my friends talking about it. And I went to go see it like 2 times in theater because of how unbelievably hyped I was for this movie. It is a damn good movie, a damn good start to us, the sequels. And it's sad to see that obviously you've already heard from Mike the potential, the fact that we never got it. Um, but I still think by itself it is a damn fine movie, and it tells a very good story that's very interesting, that's insanely visually impressive with characters I enjoyed. I love seeing all of the classic characters come back. Um, the adventure and everything, it just felt awesome. It felt great. I just think they did a damn fine job in that movie, and it's just so sad to see that we never got the full potential that we were wanting. But I still think it is a damn good movie and a must watch for sure. So
All right. Well, here it is. Our top 3. And if you've been keeping track out there while you listen to it, Logan's probably surprised that a certain movie has made it into my top 3. When I really
yeah,
thought
I
about it,
am
when I really broke it
very
down,
impressed.
it never was that low.
That's fair.
I had said a couple other things that I like more, but when I really thought about it, when I really nailed it down, it deserves top 3. So my number 3 is Revenge of the Sith. It
Nice.
is it is a great movie. Yes, it still has the prequelitis of it. There's a lot of dumb dialogue in it. Anakin, you're breaking my heart. It has the George Lucas dialogue in it, which was the thing that always kept bringing it down beneath some of these other things for me. But as I've grown up, I've cared a lot about characters and narrative. You know, I'm trying to be a writer and a teacher, and those are the things that I've really started to focus on. And yes, the dialogue sucks, but the character work and the story developments that happen in this movie are top tier, top class. George Lucas may not know how to write a movie, but he knows how to tell a story. And this is the story that everything had been building to for a long, long time. And it delivers in the narrative perspective and the character perspective. From the opening scene, the moment it starts, boom, you're in
Hmm.
it, you're there. Um,
So good.
and it is
Mhm.
incredible. The first 30 minutes of this movie, straight action from the get go. Then it does slow down a little bit in the middle and it sets up, Anakin's final descent into the dark side. And while I don't love certain things, I hate how he gets his name. There was a whole built up thing how he gets his name and then someone just randomly says it. I think that's dumb. But, it's still amazing to see his descent. And, what can you say about the final battle that hasn't been said before?
I know.
Do you want to talk about emotional resonance happening? You know, while I don't love the Phantom Menace or the Attack of the Clones, it built up Anakin and Obi-Wan's relationship well enough to when that final battle happens, when that final confrontation happens on Mustafar, it's simply awe-inspiring. And I did go back and did watch a couple scenes the other day, just of my favorite scenes to really convince myself it was better than A New Hope or The Force Awakens because those were the movies I used to have above this. But
Hmm.
yeah, if I focus on the narrative, if I focus on the characters, which is what matters to me now in my time, it it easily deserves to be top three, and I think rightfully so. Surprising to me when I sat down to make the list. I surprised myself when I did that, but it's so good. There's so many scenes. We could talk about Revenge of the Sith because it is the longest Star Wars movie, and it had so much to tell. And apparently, there's even a twice long cut out there, twice as long cut. Sorry, out
Really?
there. Yeah, apparently like the opening battle in George Lucas's like extended cut is like an hour long,
Damn.
and what we got was like 30 minutes. So
Dude, that would be
there's another
so
cut.
cool.
There's another cut of this movie that I desperately want to see. But
Hmm.
even without that cut, this movie is incredible. It said, yes, it's not written well, but it is incredible just from a narrative perspective. And that's why it deserves to be top three. Big surprise, especially from the one sitting, well, technically up for me, but I'm sure he was ready for this to be a little bit lower and him to get angry, but it deserves it. It's where it is. There's not a whole lot of things I can say. There's not enough I can say to give props, especially the Mustafa battle. It's simply almost untouched.
Hmm. All right. Number three for me will probably be The Mandalorian. Um, this is easily up there with one of the best things Disney has ever created. I think they have done a damn fine job with that show. I need to catch up with season three, so I can't really say I fully caught up with it. But I will say, at least from the things I have finished, which is season one and two, I think it is absolutely amazing. I have been going back to rewatch the first season with my wife Amy. And man, I'm blown away again by how damn good that first season is. It's just so good. John Favreau, man, mwah, dude, you know what you're doing. You know Star Wars, and I gotta say, fucking awesome. I love Mandalorian. I think the story that they're telling with it is very amazing. Cinematography is amazing. The Mandalorian as himself is awesome. Grogu is freaking he's cute, but he's also great. I feel bad for I'm really bad with names. But the girl you meet in the first season, I also like her as a character quite a bit. I also like his later on friend that was giving him all the bounties. I also really like him as a character. Don't get me wrong, it's nothing against the show. I'm just really bad with names.
Cara
I forget
Dune.
name. Karen Dune. Okay. I forget names all the time. It's nothing against the show. Trust me. I love The Mandalorian. I think it is easily one of the best things Disney's ever created,
Well, it's the
and
best.
with Star Wars. What?
It's the best in my eyes.
Yeah, and it's just it. Well, I guess technically is because it is up there in my top three. So yeah, it is the best thing Disney has ever created with Star Wars, and I just think it's so good. Like I don't know what it is, but they have that same quality as they do with like the movies in a sense. It's not a movie, but still, and it's one of the best series I watched. Other than well, actually no, I think it really is the best Star Wars series I've ever watched. Period. I think it is damn good. The characters are great. The action is freaking amazing. Um, Everything about it. I love it. I think season three is also really good from what I watched. I didn't get to finish it, so I can't exactly give a full opinion on it. I need to catch up with it really badly, but I don't know. I've been playing video games. I'm sorry, people. So, Mike, what is your number two?
Well, there's only two things left.
Yeah,
And
and it's
Logan knows me, so he knows the order. But
yes, I
number
do.
number two is the Mandalorian.
Yep.
Yeah, and I really struggled a lot with Revenge of the Sith because as I sat down and thought about dude, the movie just kept going up and up and up and up my list, and it came to a head, and I didn't really know what to put first, either Revenge of the Sith or Mandalorian. I think they're very interchangeable on my list. I'm not exactly nailed down on this, but I did come to a conclusion that I think, again, the character work and the development of the Mandalorian character and just what it does for the Star Wars property, especially the Disney Star Wars property, is right now it's the only thing it has to stand on. Well, I guess Andor, but I've never watched it. So, but I
Mhm.
think right now Mandalorian is the only thing propping up Star Wars right now. All the different characters we've got, Moff Gideon, one of the
Oh
coolest
yeah, Moff
villains we've
Gideon.
had in a long
Mhm.
time. Yes. Cara Dune, well, unfortunately, because of political reasons, she has left the
Mhm.
show. I get that, but I absolutely loved her
She was
character.
great. She was
I
so good.
I love what she represented is an entire mirrored. It's like the Batman and Joker to the Mandalorian, even though she was a good person, a
Mhm.
good guy, but she thought differently and she acted differently. And yeah, there's just nothing enough to say about Pedro Pascal's performance as the Mandalorian. It's spectacular. The amount of emotion he's able to give to the audience through the helmet. You only see his face twice so far on the show. I have not
Mhm.
watched season 3, so it is just a masterclass of a TV show. Season 1 more than season 2. I think season 2 is still great, but season 1 is on a whole nother level compared to season 2 for me. I think season 1 of Mandalorian is, again, some of the best Star Wars we've ever gotten, not even just Disney. It's easily the best Disney Star Wars, some of the best Star Wars we've ever gotten, and overall just absolutely fantastic TV show. All right. You're number 2. Go ahead and hurt me.
Well, number two, this probably hurts other people
I'm
too,
already
but
typing it, by the
I don't
way.
really give a crap. It's Empire Strikes Back. That's number two for me. I think Empire Strikes Back is. I mean, let's be honest here. One and two for me are almost equal, but one of them definitely, as you could probably already tell, just not barely, but it does peak over this movie for me. Maybe it means more because I'm younger. I don't know. But Empire Strikes Back is a freaking amazing movie still to this day. I think it is the best of the classics by miles. Like compared to both the other ones, it is far superior in my opinion. I think the action, I think the fight scenes, I think the music, I think the cinematography, everything about it absolutely phenomenal. The characters, the moments that I'll probably never forget, like Hoth, him fighting the Wampa, or what was the name again? Not Wampa. It is a Wampa. Yeah.
That's right,
Damn,
yeah.
I can't believe we got that right. Um, yeah. So that scene, um, Cloud City and the betrayal, seeing Luke and Yoda, um, also seeing Han Solo get
Carbonite.
gonna get it. Was it
Carbonite.
Carbonite? But yeah, like I'm sorry, it's me. I forget names. But so yeah, it honestly Empire Strikes Back is the best in my opinion. I think a lot of people kind of agree with that. But I think Empire Strikes Back is where they were really getting it down. Like they knew what they wanted. They made a new hope, and they're like, all right, we kind of know what we're doing now. We know what we want to aim for. We know that people like this, so let's really kind of push it to its limits and do some really crazy stuff. And just, I don't think I could ever forget Empire Strikes Back. I think it is such a classic. I think it is the by far the best of the three classics with story wise, action wise, and just everything about it. I think it's fan-freaking-tastic. I love it. I mean, oh, it's so good.
All right. Well, then it leaves only one.
Yep.
My number one is The Empire Strikes Back. Not only is it my favorite Star Wars movie, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. For every reason that Logan just said, and 10 more. Plus, it was essentially the progenitor of the trilogy Escape. The second movie is always the darkest. It leaves your heroes in a vulnerable, wanting place. Like Logan said, everything about it, the battle on Hoth, an introduction to an entire new universe. We really start jumping plans because if you think about it, the first one is only Tatooine and the Death Star. No, and then you get
Yeah.
and then you get the moon,
Yeah,
the
the moon.
fucking
But that was it. Yeah.
yeah. I can't remember what the moon station is. Yavin 4. There we go. Yavin
Yes.
4.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, the Empire Strikes Back starts hopping around. You get more knowledge about everything. Luke starts to train everything with Yoda. The little sneak peeks of who Vader ultimately is, and then obviously you get the grand reveal, which has been spoiled tenfold by by
Yeah.
today's
I know.
standards. But at the time, I could only imagine people in the theaters just losing. I mean, I've read stories, listened to my dad talk, everything, just losing their shit over the "I am your father" reveal. It's one of the most cinematic. It's one of the most well-known cinematic twists of all time, if not the number one known cinematic twist of all time. There's so much in this movie in terms of character depth and growth. There's so much knowledge gained about the universe of Star Wars, and like I said, A New Hope was so mysterious and set everything up, and The Empire Strikes Back just nails everything that a sequel is supposed to be. Heightens everything, develops everything, brings to conclusion everything that we wanted to, and sets us up for it sets us up for a finale that is unforgettable. I think this movie, like I said, it's one of the greatest movies ever made. It's one of the best sequels ever made. It's simply a masterpiece of a media property, and there's not enough great things that I can say about it. The battle between Luke and all that, especially coming right off the back of him training and us being like, oh yeah, he's ready to go, and then getting his fucking shit stomped in by Vader, just getting
Mm-hmm.
destroyed. Vader's toying with him the entire fight, and then you see that emotion in Vader and that disappointment when Luke lets go after he cuts off his hand and he reveals his father. When Luke lets go, you see that just disappointment in his face, and that reveals a little bit of his human character, which brings to light what happens in Episode 6. And there's just so much in this movie. The portrayal of Lando, the introduction of Lando, the budding relationship between Han Solo and Princess Leia, just everything in this movie is fucking perfect. I can't come up with a single bad thing to say about this movie, and I never will. I think everything in this movie is absolutely flawless. There's not a single slow move. There's not a single slow moment in it for me, or at least boring. There are slow portions to it, but it's not boring to me. I love everything that this movie has to offer, and there's just not enough I can say about it. So, hit me with your final, man.
Well, if you dwindle it down, you'll probably know by now what my favorite movie is, and that is Episode 3, The Revenge of the Sith. I can't begin to tell you how much I love this movie. I, as a kid, went to go see this movie 4 times in theaters, 4 to 5, I believe. I was obsessed with this movie, and I still am. I think this easily is one of my favorite movies of all time. Um, right from the beginning, they throw you right into the action, just like Mike said, and it is just so fucking epic. Probably, in my opinion, I think this movie has the best action out of all the Star Wars movies. No stop. It is
Full
very well
stop.
done. No stop.
Full stop.
Um,
No
full
stop means you
stop.
continue on. Full stop.
Full stop.
There you
Okay,
go.
my bad. Full stop. So it is so damn good. I still think the CGI that they did for this movie is also still holds up pretty damn well, in my opinion. It does have its flaws, but I still think it is fantastic. The introduction to Grievous at the beginning, which is easily one of my favorite villain characters. I think he's so awesome. I just love him as a character. Anakin and Obi-Wan's kind of play. I feel like this is when Hayden Christensen really started to get his acting down
Yeah, he figured
compared
out
to
how
the
to
other.
act.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel like him and Obi-Wan are Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor, both really like they had a lot of chemistry. I feel like not like loving relationship, but like they did a
Yeah.
really good job on screen with each other, and they really played off of each other. And there was just so many amazing scenes from this movie from the beginning with the fight on top of Coruscant to go save the counselor, and then they get in the ship and you see all these badass scenes where they're fighting to go save him, and then you get the Count Dooku fight, which was so fucking cool, other
So
than
much better than
Obi-Wan getting
episode 2.
smacked around within a few seconds, but it's okay. What?
I said so much better than the Dooku fight in episode 2.
Yeah, and then just to see how far Anakin has dwindled down, he's starting to become a little evil when he kills Count Dooku right then and there, which by the way is epic and so fucking
Dude,
cool.
the fucking
And then
sound
that
effect of the lightsabers.
and then
Oh, it's so
yeah, and
good.
then you hear the head, and you can even see the CGI head fall off. Um, and then their escape and crash into Coruscant.
Not to worry,
To the
we're
sea.
still finding half a ship.
What? Yeah, I know,
So
I know.
not to worry, we're still
Again,
flying half a ship.
so this is like what even is it? It's like cinematic junk food or cinematic.
Junk food's a
It's a
good
cinematic
description.
masterpiece, in my opinion, because there's just so much going on in this movie. It is a constant rush of excitement, action, and that's what I love about Star Wars so much. Is its rush and excitement and action, and I think this movie is the perfect example of that, where literally there's so much action going on constantly in this movie. Yeah, there's some semi slow down scenes like Anakin getting out of bed like he's gonna die, but I still think the way that everyone was acting with each other, the fact that this was like the close to the end of the Clone Wars, and we get to really see awesome action scenes like Kashyyyk. We get to see one of my favorite scenes of all time in Star Wars, which is Obi-Wan versus General Grievous, where he does the "Hello there, General Kenobi." I love it, man. I'll never forget it ever, dude. I mean, I watched this movie like over 1,000 times by now. It is so damn good. To the betrayal with Order 66, man. Dude, this movie is a roller coaster of emotions, and it's so fucking good. From beginning to end, with the most epic fight scene I've ever seen in Star Wars. I think there are some now that are really getting close. Like I do think in Clone Wars with the Ahsoka versus Darth Maul, I think that's also damn good. And I think there was another one that came out recently. I can't remember. But I still think this is easily one of the top. It's the most epic lightsaber duel I think of anything. No, full stop again. It is just so good. Seeing Mustafar, which by the way which I think is so ironic and cool that Darth Vader makes his castle there too later on. It's kind of just like showing like that's where he fell, so he
Yeah,
made his place there.
it's
Yeah,
the birthplace of Vader.
yeah, and it's so cool about that, and it's just so good. Like I don't know, like episode 3 is just it's a masterpiece in my opinion. It really is. Yeah, it has its faults, but it is truly a masterpiece in filmmaking, and it's a masterpiece in Star Wars because it's just so good. I don't think I've ever been bored watching that movie, and I've watched it a million times, and every time I rewatch it, I'm just as hyped as I was the last time, and it's
Yeah.
just so good.
I
And I don't
think
know, I love it.
if the writing was better, I would push it. It's never going to go above The Empire Strikes Back, but if in
That's
my
right.
mind, if the writing was a little bit better, then it would easily be above a Mandalorian because of you said all the moments you could run through them. The
Hmm.
Dooku fight, Kashyyyk battle, Order 66, the final battle on Mustafar. The list goes on and on and on of all the amazing moments that this movie gave us.
And
It's
then the
just
the march to the Jedi Temple. No,
yeah.
no, no.
It's so good. It
It's
hits on
so good.
this movie hits on every single level of filmmaking other than how it's written.
you know, like those like videos you see on like TikTok and all that, where it's like those satisfying things where they're like cutting things. It's very that's what this movie is constantly. Because not only visually is it impressive, but dude, they really went hard with the music in this movie too. Because I feel like at every single moment, all the music was just so unbelievably hyped. And I think this movie is also a good reason why I love Star Wars Battlefront 2 so much because with you did you know this that when you buy Star Wars 3, you got Star Wars Battlefront 2 as a demo on the
No, I
disc
did
when you put it
not.
in your console? And that was my first time ever playing Battlefront 2 and being able to play all those battles from the movie was just so amazing. And that's why I think Battlefront 2 is so beloved by me because it's such nostalgia for me because like Star Wars Battlefront 2 is pretty much what like a basically a continuation after episode 3. So it's
All
so
right.
good.
Well, that is the end of our list. A quick rundown of everything Mike's list, or my list, goes. And number 1, Empire Strikes Back. Number 2, Mandalorian. Number 3, Revenge of the Sith. Number 4, A New Hope. Number 5, The Force Awakens. Number 6, Return of the Jedi. Number 7, Solo. Number 8, Rogue One. Number 9, Kenobi. Number 10, The Phantom Menace. Number 11, Attack of the Clones. Number 12, The Last Jedi. And number 13, The Rise of Skywalker. Logan's definitive list goes number 1, Revenge of the Sith. Number 2, The Empire Strikes Back. Number 3, Mandalorian. Number 4, The Force Awakens. Number 5, Return of the Jedi. Number 6, Rogue One. Number 7, A New Hope. Number 8, Andor. Number 9, Solo. Number 10, Attack of the Clones. Number 11, Kenobi. Number 12, The Rise of Skywalker. Number 13, Boba Fett. Number 14, The Phantom Menace. And number 15, The Last Jedi. And ladies and gentlemen, that is Star Wars Ranked. Let us know down below if you enjoyed this. We want to keep doing this. I very much enjoyed this. This was awesome. I
Yeah,
want to
this
do
was
more and
fun.
more. Yeah.
Yeah,
We're
this was
gonna
good then.
we're gonna go back to the conclusion of the regular episode, but please comment down below. Let us know if you like this. We'll make this an entire separate episode if you want. So comment down below. Let us know. Logan, any last words on this?
Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully this can be an entire episode thing. I think mainly probably what we will do later on in the future if you guys do like this, we probably will most likely just be making these full on episodes because they are quite long as you can tell. But I hope you guys did enjoy it. I hope you did enjoy our points that we were giving on why we ranked every single one. I know this one was a little bit more on the fly, so maybe next time I will probably hopefully be a little bit more prepared because I kind of changed my order on the fly there, but I think I'm pretty confident on that ranking that I gave. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and we're gonna be getting to the rest of this episode.
Yeah, we'll be right back. For you, it'll be 1 second. For us, it'll be 2 minutes. So see you guys on the other side. All right, and we're back in a flash, just like that. Welcome back to the XP Podcast, the regular show. Hopefully, everybody enjoyed the Rankum episode of the live-action Star Wars movies. I absolutely adored it. I want to keep doing more. I hope everyone out there likes it. We're actually going to skip around the point this week because mostly there's not a whole lot to talk about, but some of the ones that are a little bit more interesting, we will bring to you guys next week on episode 50 of the XP Podcast. I guess it's kind of like a milestone episode, so
Yeah, what the heck?
maybe we'll do something special. We'll talk about that in a private time. So we're gonna jump right now into LTR, also known as Let's Talk Reviews. Only one deep dive this week because there's only really one game that came out worth talking about. Well, kind of worth talking about, but
Yeah.
Redfall came out on Xbox Series X and S and PC. It has a 61 on OpenCritic, a 59 on Metacritic, with 7 positive, 34 mixed, and 8 negative. Xbox Era gave the game an 8.5 out of 10 and said Redfall is fantastic in most ways. A few baffling design decisions around its co-op implementation and some frustrating technical issues hold it back. However, it is fun as hell solo and ridiculously so in co-op. With a little post-launch support, it is going to become something special. This may end up being Arcane's worst reviewed title ever, but it is going to be their most successful. Alone or with friends, Redfall is a game any fan of the genre should play. GameRant gave the game a 7 out of 10 and said Redfall is ultimately a fun experience thanks to the world, the enemies, and the gunplay itself, but as a whole, it's an incredibly shallow one too. Because of this, some may question whether it's worth the price tag, but it's noteworthy that Redfall is launching on Xbox Game Pass. It feels like the game is designed for the service. That's true. And with an experience that is easily digestible, is full of simple, mindless fun, and is easy to move on from. Gaming Bolt gave the game a 5 out of 10 and said Redfall is Arkane's most underwhelming game to date. A fascinating setting and some remnants of the developer's beloved gameplay formula aren't enough to overcome the game's numerous issues, from stiff controls and disappointingly rote design decisions to lackluster storytelling and technical deficiencies. IGN, along with multiple other people, gave the game a 4 out of 10 and said Redfall is a bafflingly bad time across the board, whether playing solo or with a friend or three suffering alongside you. That it comes in the wake of Arkane's excellent Deathloop and endearingly beloved Prey, and the acclaimed Dishonored series honestly beggars belief. Its performance on Xbox Series X is regularly dire, plagued with pop-ins, stutters, and a long list of display bugs. It's beleaguered with, I think that's supposed to be dodgy, but dodgy AI enemies that struggle to mount a basic defense, choose appropriate cover, or even effectively navigate the world. The one-note mission design recycles and repurposes itself all the way until the anticlimactic final encounter. Button commands break, characters vanish, and the cheap and static story sense seems woefully unfinished by typical standards. Man, Xbox era really loved that game, didn't they?
I don't know what they played, but I would like to know because I didn't play the same game as
It's
they did.
it's going to be their most successful game. That's a line they're gonna that review is gonna regret that line probably already.
Yeah,
I would have
especially
to
with
say
the
so.
score. Heck, if IGN gave it a 4 out of 10, then there's really a problem with the game
Yeah, IGN
because
gave it a 4. GameSpot gave it a 4. Noisy Pixel gave it a 4. A lot of people gave it a
yeah,
4 out of 10.
it takes a lot to make IGN give a bad score. So there's got to be something seriously wrong with the game in order to get that low. So it's, I mean, I don't think any of these people. Well, Xbox here is wrong, but I think everyone else is basically correct on
Yeah,
that.
I
It's
mean,
especially even Game Rant. I think they did a really good job of explaining that it is a game you could easily move on from. You're definitely right on that one.
that is true.
Yeah.
I want to get
Um.
back and play some more, at least maybe a couple
Yeah. No,
nights,
I do want to play more
but
too, but
I don't know when.
people out there, if you're an Xbox fanboy, for first thing, I am an Xbox person. I love Xbox. Trust me. It took me a lot to kind of sort of move away from it. It wasn't until like Spider-Man that I finally started to move away from Xbox a little bit more. So if that tells you anything. I am one of those people that have held on to that nostalgia, as I would say, from Xbox 360 days. So I tried to hold on to faith that they would do something. So I'm not just hating on this game to hate on it to be like a fanboy. It's just not a good game, and I'm sorry. That's just the truth. If you want to see it firsthand, go check out our episode XP Plays. We did a little intro, and you can see firsthand how well the game plays. There you go.
Yeah,
Haha, get it? Because we played XP Plays.
I get it. Yes, thank you.
Got him.
I'm an intelligent person.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
but
it's it's an overall sad story, and yeah, it sucks on a multitude of levels, but I guess it is what it is. Try again.
yeah,
Most
I will say
successful game
Arcane
ever.
has kind of put themselves in a bad place for whatever games that come out in the future because now a lot of people don't have faith in them because this was just not good. It wasn't.
Yeah, and
And DJ, sorry, but also thank you for stealing this game from me because I almost did get this game in my fantasy league and I'm really happy I didn't get it. So, yeah.
yeah, it overall sucks, and I do think it's gonna have an impact, even though people like you and me know that the next Arcane game is from the main studio.
Yeah, but a lot of people
Yeah, a
don't.
lot of
They're
people
just gonna
don't
be
know
like,
that.
Arcane.
They see Arcane, and they're like, well, I'm not playing that shit. Redfall it cost me $70 if you bought it, not on Xbox Game Pass. It's a $70 game, and this is not a $70 game.
I mean,
40
also
maybe.
a lot of people don't even know the difference between that and Bethesda too. Some people just think Bethesda is the thing that makes all these games. So they probably just be like, "Oh yeah, that Fallout 4 or Fallout 76 wasn't so good. This other game's being made by Bethesda, so it must not be good." So I mean, there are people out there that believe that too. They don't know the difference on that. So if that shows you anything, then people are definitely not going to know the difference between the two arcanes. They're just going to be like, "Oh, it's the same thing." So
Yeah. They're really gonna
Yeah,
have to come back
that's
strong with the next one. So
but it's also their own fault. They honestly shouldn't have released this game. I don't know if it was Xbox that forced them to do this within this year or what, but maybe they did force him because they noticed how bad, I mean, it was. They're like, "Hey,
like
like
just put it out.
clearly we gave you a year delay to finish this game, and yet here it is." So maybe they're just like, "Just put it out. We can't
Yeah,
keep spending money on it."
yeah, fuck it.
Maybe. Who knows?
All right.
But I just hope that later on this year with Starfield they really nail it. Also, I hope within the summer we get some more Xbox announcements. I want to see some more games. I don't want it to just be Starfield and Forza. I want you to surprise us with another game this year too.
Yeah, bring us something
But yeah,
cool. All right.
Fable. I'm just kidding.
Fable's never coming out. The rest of
Avowed.
that would be awesome. The rest of the
Yes.
week went like this: Ravenlock, another Xbox Series X and S and PC exclusive, got a 68. Rough week for those over there on Xbox. Age of Wonders 4 on PS5, Xbox Series X and S and PC got an 83, and that was your week in review. Going on now to out this week. These are the games you can play on your console of choice coming up in the next week. On May 8th, Darkest Dungeon 2 comes out on PC. On May 9th, Ease 9, Monstrum Nox on PS5. On May 10th, The Lord of the Rings Heroes of Middle-earth on iOS and Android. On May 11th, Death or Treat on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Marvel's Midnight Suns sees its last gen release on PS4 and Xbox One with a recently canceled Switch version. Interesting to note. And then on May 12th, the only game that actually matters this week, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, finally, after what feels like an eon, drops on Nintendo Switch. And that is your week. You excited?
I am unbelievably excited for Friday,
I
but
know you are.
also kind of nervous because I need to finish the other game before Friday.
You
That's a
got
lot to weigh on me, but I
you,
think I can do it.
you got plenty of
Possibly,
time.
hopefully. Yeah, I mean, I'm at like 50 hours in the game, so if I could put in another 20 hours within this weekend or so, I
You'll get
could
done with
probably.
it, yeah.
Yeah,
You'll be
yeah.
good.
Um, Also, that Death or Tree game, heard a lot of good things about it actually. So, does look pretty cool. I also wanted to that name for that, I for some reason I read that as Wise X IX Munchkin.
Well, that's a lack of JRPG knowledge from you, but yeah, it's
Yeah,
pronounced ease.
easy. I would never know that. I would probably call it. I would definitely call it Wise or Wise.
That's a lack of JRPG knowledge on you on
Yeah.
that one, but that's fine. Ease isn't that great anyway. A lot of people love it, but I don't. So, all right.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. Hopefully, you like this episode because this brings us to the end of our show. Everyone who has been watching or listening, we just want to take this time as always and thank you from the bottom of the hearts. With I don't know what that was. Without your support, we could not be doing what we're attempting to do here on the Expand Sport. But please help us to continue to grow by telling everyone out there that you know who even has the slightest appreciation for all things pop culture that they have some new friends waiting to talk all sorts of fandoms with them. We would greatly appreciate it. Mr. Birdman, any last words?
Thank you guys for stopping by. Hope you guys had well, I know this is going to be posted after May 4th, and it's almost actually the end of May 4th, what time it is right now. But I hope you guys all had a good May 4th. I hope this was a fun little episode for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed our new Rankum episode. Again, comment down below. Let us know what you think about it. Obviously, I think next time we're gonna probably cut that out and make it its own episode. We understand that was a little long and a little bit in the middle, kind of like when we're talking about some of the movies, but you know what I mean. Um, but I hope you guys did enjoy it. I hope you guys would enjoy us maybe doing more Rankum stuff and with anything. By the way, this Rankum thing is meant for just about anything with games, movies, maybe not books because I'm not much of a book person, but you know what I mean. Um, but yeah, thank you guys for sticking by. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you guys would like to give us a like and a subscribe, we're trying to hit that 200 subscriber mark. Right now we're at 34. Try to get us to 200 maybe by the end of this year. I know that's a huge goal, bit of a distance, but you know, hey, you guys want to join us? Join our community. Give us some comments. Heck, as he even said at the beginning of this episode, we would like you guys to also comment down below and give us maybe a question of the week. Something that pops up in your mind, we'll answer for you. That'll be fun. So I would also like to shout out not our Patreon plan member, but I just want to shout him out in general. Logan Leffler, we do appreciate the support that you gave us all the way through this, dude. We do 100% appreciate you. But if you guys also would like to support us on our Patreon, we do have it linked down below. We have 3 different tiers. Obviously, you don't have to do that, but if you would like to give us a dollar a month or something like that, we do. What's that?
We have 4 tiers, but that's okay.
4 tiers. Sorry, my bad. My bad. But if you do want to give us like a dollar a month, we would very much appreciate it. But obviously, if you don't, we just honestly are happy that you want to give us a like and subscribe and just want to join us and view our episodes every week. Honestly, that's much more appreciated in my opinion. So yeah, I'm gonna pass it over to Mike and then we'll be heading on out.
Once again, thanks everyone for listening and following along with us. This has been another episode of the XP Podcast brought to you by all of us here at the Experience Point. I hope everyone has an absolutely fantastic week. Happy May the 4th be with you, and I hope you love Star Wars as much as we do. As always, though, we'll talk to you all on the next one. See you guys.
See you guys.